Okay, Israel Shalom. Hope everybody's doing well today. Back at it again.
Smell good though. That's crazy.
Oh, we're good.
Need some flavors on.
No, listen.
Listen.
We can't change the apothecary up. Brothers want to sit back and put different smells in their calamus and all kind of weird stuff. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well today. Shout out Swore the Truth family. Cabo Cobb. Amayatazah, the brothers that they're teaching in the West Coast and the East Coast. Hope everybody's doing well. SOW family, Shield of Wisdom for Stream of Wisdom, Slack, Stream of Wisdom, Zaki in Virginia, Zion in Rochester, New York, and Quatazop in Houston. Hope everybody's doing well out there, keeping the fight, staying strong, getting the work in, all that good stuff. Today, I want to finish off a class based off of a topic that we briefly went into like 3 weeks ago. And it was about how do I stay zealous and consistent. Didn't get a chance to finish that class up. I want to finish it up before we go and continue moving forward on our topics. Once again, if brothers have questions and scenarios in class, you guys can put it in our questions box. And if there's questions and issues that when you all need to get addressed, feel free to you can ask them online or email us. You can email us whatever you guys need questions wise. We're gonna start opening it up more to go into questions if they're needed. Okay, so we want to start back off at a point in time in history when Israel was hungry and focused and desirous to fight any battle that was in front of us. Then we'll sit back here and just show how that zeal and that fight stays strong for weeks, months, maybe a year, then it starts to wane. Because this is really the challenge that a lot of us experience when it comes to overcoming ourselves, overcoming the flesh, overcoming weaknesses in ourselves. We'll have high highs and low lows, and it's very difficult to maintain the zeal necessary to conquer the flesh and to continue to push forward and grow in Christ. We always talk about growth. What does it take? What does it really take to stay strong and stay potent? We're just going to kind of give initially just some concepts of when we were potent, and then when we start to fade away, what are those traits? And then after we go through that, we're going to kind of explain what are ways to counteract that part of us that wants to fade and taper down our enthusiasm and our fight. So, first story, we're going to go to Josephus. Okay, Josephus, book 2, chapter 9, paragraph 1. We read this 3 weeks ago, but I want to kind of go back and make it fresh. Josephus, book 2, chapter 9, paragraph 1.
Page 66.
So let's read this.
Now it happened that the Egyptians grew delicate and lazy.
Now listen, this is the same cycle that all individuals eventually face. At the end and the tail end of the Egyptian empire, they grew delicate and lazy. Okay, now when Egypt was at their top, the nation wasn't delicate and lazy. But as the nation starts to fall apart, everything is outsourced. All the work is commissioned to the inferior nations, and that's how you know a nation is falling apart. Does that sound familiar?
Yep.
Where even out here in our country that we're living in, all the work is outsourced, all the factory jobs are gone, all that work ethic that made the country that was our captives potent has all been pushed aside, and the other nations that are the servitude nations, they're potent now. That is a telltale sign that a nation is eroding and breaking down from the inside. Same thing we're reading about the Egyptians. They grew delicate and lazy. Read on.
As to painstaking.
Listen, anything that required work, sweat, the grind, the Egyptians wanted no part of it. And once again, how many of us that aren't in the work that we do are motivated to get their hands dirty and get some real work done? A lot of us by nature don't really want to touch hard work. A lot of us really sit back here. What's the easiest way I can get paid?
We have that YouTube mentality where
Con.
every commercial is like, "Hey, why you got a boss?
Yeah.
Hey, be your own boss.
And then everybody gets to sit back and be their own
Don't
boss.
work smarter. Don't work harder. Work smarter. Hey, 4-hour work week.
Yep.
Yeah, that means have a 4-hour work week and you will be okay. Let's be about efficient. Let's be better. Let's be smarter. Let's leverage technology.
And they're saying that at the beach,
yeah,
drinking Mai Tais, hanging out,
having a blast.
having their toes in the sand, enjoying their life.
Listen, you gotta be a digital nomad. You gotta be a digital
Digital nomad.
Digital nomad.
Oh, nomad. You said nomad.
No, nomad.
Okay.
That's the vision where you can work from a computer, not from home. Because working from home was one idea. People are like, I'm tired of being in the house.
Yeah.
Let's be a digital nomad where I can work and
On
travel
vacation.
at the same time.
Yeah.
And I can vacation and still work for my vacation points.
Yes.
So
and I can write off my vacations because it's my work site.
There you go. So this is the vision that is being painted to people.
Pure comfort.
Pure comfort and still get your money.
And be a digital influencer is even easier.
And you can have lighter texture jobs. And listen, that might look good on the outside until it's wartime.
Yeah.
A bunch of influencers trying to fight a war.
It's not going to happen, bro. And people, listen. Anyway, do you realize what like people that are fighting? And what are you doing half the day? You're digging trenches.
You're prepping.
You're sitting back here. You're grinding. You're working hard, damn labor jobs in war. What's that?
No, you said it's a lot of trench digging. It's a lot of 12-hour shifts, 15-hour shifts.
A lot of ration meals.
Yeah, it's not going.
You're eating dead food, bro. That's what MREs are. Point is, what am I trying to say? When a nation's declining, everybody wants to get comfortable, live easy. This is the nature of mankind when they get to a certain level.
This is the goal, and that's with Judah. I gotta go to Judah in particular.
I can't. I don't want to say that. I don't get trouble.
I can do that.
He can do it.
I can play that card. I hit all the tribes. I especially hit Judah.
You can't be going into Issachar. That's why we said it earlier.
but Issachar works. But Judah's gonna do is they'll say, "Listen, man, I just want to be comfortable."
Yep.
And they're like, "Listen, the idea of I'm trying to get rich, but I always want to be comfortable." Listen, it doesn't sound bad. It doesn't sound like I'm being wicked. But the goal is being comfortable over time. Where's it go?
And that's the point. This is why we even in our school we poo-poo the idea of once you get to a certain rank you can coast.
Nope. So
because because that's the thought that I'm not gonna lie that I'm talking about years ago. The idea was once you got to a certain rank, you can just relax.
Yep.
You can give orders, drop information, chill out. And then you're the man.
Yeah.
You are respected because
job.
you have this label on you and you have a name. That's you. You're a great man now. But when you sit back and read in the scriptures, he lets you know specifically you have to keep pushing yourself and keep being in this workman mindset or you will lose what you got. And we're going to prove it. Let's continue.
God, and gave themselves up to other pleasures, and in particular to the love of gain.
And what you're going to see is as individuals' love of gain rises, and first of all, their work ethic diminishes, but their love of gain rises. Yeah. So how do you sit back here and work less, but gain more?
Good question.
How do you work less and gain more?
Oppression. Yep.
That's the angle. Oppression. And this is what happened to the Jews. The Egyptians weren't going to work. They're going to sit back here and get and push for more gains. Somebody got to suffer and lose for people to sustain their lifestyle. And this is a lesson even for us. We get in a situation when we get rank and position. We're all faced with two questions. Do we sit back here and take advantage of our position? The more you take advantage of your position and work less, guess who has to pick up the slack? The young men. The youth. This is why we fight to teach even men in a camp in the body. The more you rank up, don't lose your capacity to work and to keep your hands dirty. Because when you do that, somebody got to keep this up. And it's a young man more times than not that's not prepared to handle that pressure on their own. Let's continue.
Because they also became very ill affectioned toward the Hebrews, as touched with envy at their prosperity.
And then what they were happening is they were pissed off that the Hebrews that were living in Goshen, a city away from the Egyptians, they were thriving because they were what? They were hungry. We were focused. We were determined. We still had Jacob's work ethic that was instilled in only a couple generations prior. We were still rocking and rolling with our forefathers' work ethic. That's what Jacob was known for, right?
Yeah.
Read on.
God. For when they saw how the nation of the Israelites flourished and were become eminent, already in plenty of wealth.
He says the Jews were coming up. They were having things. They were industrious. They were motivated. I tell you this, when you get Israel motivated and focused, there's nothing that can stop us. The only problem is, how do you keep Israel motivated and focused? Because once Israel gets a little window of opening, we won. Yes.
You know, it reminds me of the time when we first got out of Egypt, because what was the tendency that we showed even then? You know, the Reuben and Gad, once they won their side of the River Jordan, they wanted to settle and start planting their vineyards. They wanted to relax.
Yeah.
And Joshua had to charge these guys up, but now you're not going to sit here and finish your fight when everybody else had to sit.
That was even Moses. Moses said, hell no. They were on the other side of Jordan.
Yeah, okay. So that was
Moses, listen, bro.
Yeah.
He got kind of pissed at him.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. We were going to go with you. Like, right.
Nah.
Like, no, we were going to go. I promise we were going to go.
Nah,
listen, bro. You don't get one smack of damn wine. Fire water. Not one smack of fire water. That's me. I can say that. Now I can say that. Not once. You don't get your lips on one damn droplet of fire water until you fight your battles over here in the land of Canaan. Now I can say that now. But that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Because our proclivity is to work hard till you get to a point and stop.
Yep. They fall off the gas.
What people don't understand is when you start sitting back here and telling yourself you've got it, that's the beginning of your downfall.
Yep.
When you stop pushing yourself, your studying goes down, your fight, your intensity, everything goes down. But let me not preclude myself. Let's keep going. So at this particular point, the Jews were flourishing because of their work ethic. They were fighting for something. They were pushing for something. They were pushing for stability in a land that wasn't theirs. Read on.
It says, which they had acquired by their virtue and natural love of labor.
Their natural love of labor. At one time,
wow,
the Jew, from Judah all the way down, was motivated to work for themselves, to fight their battles, and to push through their discomfort. The entire nation at one time had that love of labor. Okay? There was a culture that was instilled that fed that. Read on.
They thought their increase was to their own detriment, and having, in length of time, forgotten the benefits that they had received from Joseph.
So what now the Egyptians are saying is, listen, all this pushing that these Jews are doing, now they're a threat. They're going to grow in power enough to sit back and usurp us. So we're going to have to sit back and create some policies and laws to stifle these Jews' industriousness. Why am I going here? I'm going to say 1 second. I know a lot of times we're criticizing our people for their wickedness that we've done. So we got to make sure we let Israel know there's good in us, and when we're motivated, we can achieve anything. But there is also a reason when you read in Genesis 49 that Judah is referring to as a what?
Lion's whelp.
A lion's whelp. A sleeping lion. Right? Because it's hard as hell to get that lion going. It's to get our people to fight and to take everything they do serious with the intensity necessary to find and attain victory. It's very hard to do that. What you gonna say?
I was just gonna point out the fact that even you look at predominantly black neighborhoods now, and how they're removing a lot of the industrial schooling, in the high schools. Mm-hmm. Before, a lot of low income areas, we talk to old black folks. They always say, man, we had opportunity to learn how to be a mechanic, learn how to get plumber skills, learn how to be, we learned how to work with our hands.
I learned this trade.
We learned trades, but the problem was the other nations, predominantly Esau, had already moved away from that. So to sit here and stifle us, because they knew that we were progressing in this field, and that was a declining field for them.
Because they were deindustrializing the entire nation.
Exactly. They took it away from us as well, which took away a lot of our control. Which is, it's all forcing and tunneling everybody into the same direction. So they're like, if we're going to fall in this arena, you also going to fall.
God, so now what's happening is they're just starting to open up those type of trade schools to try to get people that are more connected with working with their hands to give them an opportunity to succeed.
Exactly.
Okay? We're going to let this go. And that was Israel at the top. When they were motivated, when we were focused, when we were zoned in. Now we're going to sit back and go back into Josephus again and go to Josephus book 5, chapter 2, paragraph 7. And this kind of shows us the other side and maybe maybe one more generation displaced and see where our mind went after this one generation. Josephus book 5, chapter 2, paragraph 7. In one generation of hard-working Jews, motivated, focused Jews, what happens to us when this next generation doesn't get tested and isn't challenged and pushed to work at the same ethic, at the same mindset as the previous generation? Don't forget, the old generation did what? They died off. The old generation died off in the wilderness, right? So Israel's wickedness died off, and what else died off? Their work ethic and the lessons that older generation had to contribute to keeping the next generation locked in. That died off also. So now you got a bunch of young. This is why when you're young, what's so important is that the leadership teaches culture, camp culture, school culture. Because if you don't teach school culture properly, men are going to start growing up in the truth, not appreciating the values that the men over you had to go through and endure through their time in the work.
To make the camp stay.
And this is why it's so important that at this position, we have to make sure that everybody sees eye to eye on camp culture. And this is why we're so selective on letting men come up. Because if camp culture starts to deviate at the top, then the lessons get disseminated the wrong way to the youth. Then all of a sudden, everybody after this generation isn't going to know how to keep the right mentality as the years progress. This is why we're so stickler to having a grasp, not just with the teaching, but with the work ethic, with counseling, with putting your home together. Because if all of these things aren't taught, then there's going to be schisms. I can tell you from first-hand knowledge, whatever you don't do in fighting your battle, guess what's going to happen? Your students are going to follow that. If you don't teach and studying serious, guess what happens? The body don't take studying serious. I've lived it. I've seen it. If you don't value work ethic, the men that come behind you aren't going to value work ethic. If you don't value counseling, if you don't take that serious, they're not going to take it serious. So this is why we're so stickler on all of these phases of the work. Because if it's not done right, you're going to lead your camp into deficient positions.
To oblivion.
Okay, like Mike Tyson said.
Yeah.
To Bolivia. I'm trying to lighten up a little bit, man. But let's continue. Josephus 5, 2, and 7.
Come. The Antiquities of the Jews, Book 5, Chapter 2, Paragraph 7 reads, After this, the Israelites grew effeminate as to fighting anymore against their enemies.
Listen, now we have been fighting these Canaanites, and it wasn't even for a very long time. We were given the instructions to wipe out these Canaanites. The Most High had obviously shown us that we were going to win. We just had to show up. Think about this. We already saw enough times of victory that all we had to do was show up. Yep. There wasn't a time, if y'all remember when we was going over Joshua, it was almost like as soon as we started to fight in each of these different battles, they were running. They were fleeing. They were already skittish. Why were they skittish? Most High was sending death omens to them years before we even got there prepping them. They were already skittish, and word of the multitude of victories that we had just started like spreading all throughout the Canaanite cities. So it wasn't like there was a doubt that if they went out there, the Most High they might die and lose. They knew victory was in their hands, and they still chose what? They just didn't like the fact that after a certain point, I have to be inconvenienced. I have to keep getting up in the morning and tap into the grind.
Yep.
Is that not how we are? We get tired of the grind. We get so hyper-focused on the inconveniences of our daily job that we talk ourselves out of doing the inconvenient work.
Or the repetitious nature.
Repetition, exactly.
Monotony.
The monotony. Then we start sitting back here. Once the fear is gone, then I just don't want to do it because I'm doing the same thing every day. Why do I gotta keep doing the same thing every day? This is boring. Let me tap into my hobbies. Let me tap into my pastimes. Let me give my mind to things that get me hyped and tap into my happiness.
What about what I like?
And that's the thing. That's when the fear is gone, when there's safety around us, now I want to focus on what we're into and what our passions are versus the Most High's will. We went through last week's class, or 2 weeks ago's class, about how the Most High wants us in that workman mindset. But we don't like being in that workman mindset. And the Most High at this time says, I want you to be inconvenienced and go to war. Just go to war for me and finish what you started. Then you can sit back here and do you. And when you look at that map, we sat back here and might have went halfway. I can't even say 2/3 of the way we completed the process of fighting our battle.
Other landmass we were supposed to have in the first place.
We were supposed to have the entire West Coast. Listen, why wouldn't you fight to get access to the sea? You know how powerful having access to the sea does for your shipping, does for your trade, does for your country's economy? They're talking about Russia possibly taking over and making Ukraine a landlocked country. If Ukraine is made a landlocked country, they're done.
For those of us that don't know, what is a landlocked country?
Landlocked country is there's no water around you. Now, Ukraine at this present time has access to water, which means they have access to shipping, trade, and commerce. And they have their heavy wheat supplies, and they can sit back and ship it out to these different countries and make money and enhance their gross domestic product. But if you don't have access to water now, what do you have to do? You have to pay for water access. And if you're paying for water access, now you're having to increase the rate of your grain, and you're cutting down on costs. I mean, you're picking up cost, and you're cutting down your profit. Now your country can't make the money it should make. Now you're hard pressed to sit back here and keep your nation afloat. But we weren't even thinking about that. We had access to water, access to seas, trade, the whole nine. All we cared about was our gardens and planting our vineyards. But that's our mindset. We are very short-sighted people. We lack vision. All we care about is my house and what I want. And we don't sit back and think about what does the body need. I have to work hard enough to where the body has what it needs to be sustained for a long period of time. Not just me. So, read that from the top.
Come. After this, the Israelites grew effeminate as to fighting anymore against their enemies, but applied themselves to the cultivation of the land, which producing them great plenty and riches, they neglected the regular disposition of their settlement and indulged themselves in luxury and pleasures.
They neglected the regular disposition of their settlement. Listen, you have to secure your borders first. Why am I going to sit back here and build mansions and build homes and build crops if right next door my enemy is there? That doesn't even make sense. At least Esau understood that. If I'm gonna sit back here and take Manhattan and for some damn beads that that I know damn sure they don't need from me. If I'm gonna rob Manhattan, I need to rob this whole damn country. Am I right or wrong? Now, if I'm gonna sit back here and wipe out Gad on the eastern seaboard, I gotta wipe out Gad in the Midwest.
Got to. You gonna come back?
And I gotta take these boys in the South. Then I gotta get Geronimo and all those cats in the West and the Northwest Territory. I gotta get it all. Why play with this? Either we're gonna run it or we're not gonna run it. But see, these pioneers, these conquistadores, whatever you want to call them, colonizers, they understood big picture. They understood what mattered for themselves and the big picture. We don't think that way. When we sat back here and we're supposed to take our country and our land, we should have said, you know what? Our nation needs these Philistines wiped out.
Yeah.
My grandchildren need these people from Tyre and Zidon wiped out.
You're creating an unproductive environment for their benefit.
Listen,
Con. A detrimental environment.
Con.
You're basing off is what America's doing now. They're taking these billion-dollar loans today, and they're pushing the debt off to their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren, so that they will have hyperinflation.
Hoping
Yes.
that they'll win the next war.
Yep.
So they can cash in on toppling another government, breaking this country into 20 pieces or 20 smaller provinces, and capitalizing on all the natural resources so the country doesn't feel the pinch of the dollar falling. The only way the dollar can be kept from falling is breaking Russia and China. That's the only way. I don't know. This is another thing. They did say, Blinken sat back here and went to China, had a meeting with Xi Jinping. Blinken, Anthony Blinken.
Okay.
He's like the Secretary of Defense. He went out there, the Secretary of State, not Defense, and he had a conversation with the Chinese. And then, on their podium, on their microphone, said, listen, if China don't stop, whatever he said to the Chinese is one thing. He got on the mic in China and said, listen, if China don't stop messing with Russia and providing things for them, they're going to get sanctions. And Europe's going to sanction them, and we're going to sanction them. We're going to break these guys. Either they're going to sit back and bend to our will, or we're going to sanction China too. And drop the mic. They got out of there. I'm like, bro, are you serious?
Yeah.
You're boxing these guys into a corner?
You're going to intensify their bonds.
Well, that's the point. But in their mind, if we don't break these two, part of that $90-something million package, like 8 to 10 billion went to Taiwan, right? They kind of didn't tell you that. Like 10 billion went to Taiwan. Why did they go to Taiwan?
Good question.
To make China uncomfortable, right? To get them squirrely, uncomfortable. We're gonna send some bombs over there, make you uncomfortable.
Can somebody take care of that?
So then they sent some to Israel, and they sent some to Ukraine. What's the point? If we don't destabilize these countries, the dollar will drop. Russia's got BRICS. They're trying to de-dollarize the dollar and break it down and make it nothing. You got if you and listen, and Saudi Arabia, they're going to swing to the winner.
Yep.
They're playing the neutral side, but if Russia wins, they're going to go BRICS, and they're going to change the whole perspective of the dollar and how the dollar is used. If Russia loses, they're going to go back to the United States. This is why this war with Russia and this upcoming sanctions escalator with China is going to keep ramping up. They got to break these two. Anyway.
And we're dealing with geopolitics, which means resources and conditions for the benefit of their generations and their youth and their welfare of their people. And we're dealing, in this biblical time period, you're dealing with people that are absorbing resources.
But at least Esau understands this. They understand that I might consume, but what's always worked for them? Wars. They broke Russia, Russia in 91. Communism fell. Then they went to Iran and Iraq. They sat back here and capitalized with all the gold and the weaponry and the oil. And guess what? The economy started booming. The economy started booming after all the wars.
Now,
So once they got the Middle East covered, Russia started to rise up again. We got to break Russia. then guess what happened? We'll get out of debt. That's what's been working. But they're hitting a brick now because they're losing this war. So now they got to bring all of Europe in this, or they're all going to fall.
Yeah.
But they at least understand what the game plan is to keep the country
They get
going.
the game.
But what we do is, nah, dog. Listen, I know there's enemies over there, but I got my fence. I'll be all right. There's no foresight about my children and my grandchildren and the stability of my nation. And can you imagine if they would have covered the entire west coast of Israel? Now the only way you can fight is 2 ships. Now you're ahead of the curve for multiple generations before ship warfare even becomes a thing. And you can just fortify these eastern borders and you're good.
Complete safety for
But
your
we
life.
had war, we had fighting and harm all around us.
We do it every day.
Because we want instant gratification. Even in the world of business, they tell you what? In the world of business, when you start a new business, you have to wait a year or 2 before you start taking profits. Did you know that?
Now, we talked about this back in the old time. We talked about when we get money, because the Super Bowl was Christmas. Can we just get to Christmas to get back even so we can stop drowning? We're drowning.
Yes.
We're going to survive. And let's make November count.
Yeah.
Make December count, right? So the whole point is, once we have a little money on top, we would have to reinvest it. Let's reinvest in product.
Not blow it.
Shashawan would say, let's get product. Let's get product. Let's buy things at cheaper prices by spending mass.
We've got cash.
We've
got cash. Let's spend cash.
Let's buy some rims.
Let's spend it.
Let's get these rims out.
It's mine. It's
Let's get TV.
It's mine. I spend it.
Let's have a good time. Let's have fun.
Listen, you only live once.
You only live once. But we have a chance to get out of debt. We have a chance to get out of camp debt and really do well for the next generation.
Just enjoy it. This is the thinking that our people have. We're short-sighted. We're in the moment. Like I was saying about saving your business. Listen, so what does it mean if you're a new business? That means you have to work for nothing for 2 or 3 years before you can even start seeing the fruits of your labor. How many of our people like doing that? How many of our people can actually sustain through the first couple years just living on a disciplined, structured salary? We don't want to because we see all this money. This is mine. Why can't I take it now? Because if you want something to last, you have to keep investing. Listen, what do we read about? Remember years ago we read Leviticus about the trees?
Yep.
How you able to plant a tree and you can't touch it for 5 years?
7 years.
Yeah.
It was 5 years.
Yeah.
You can't enjoy it for 5 years.
Yeah.
And you sitting back here seeing apples dropping out, and you hungry as hell. And then apple just going right back in the dirt. You just watching it like this. I can't pick anything for 5 years. And then the 4th year with the most highs, you have to give your harvest to the most high.
Yeah.
Then the 5th year you can get yours.
You can enjoy it.
But the most high is showing us that's the mindset we were supposed to have. What are we? We're so hyper focused on getting something now.
Yep.
We want it now. We fought for it. Let me enjoy it.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification. But he's trying to teach you, listen, man, we try to get blessings too quickly without committing to the necessary work to sustain what the body needs. And that's what was happening here. Let's continue.
God. And indulge themselves in luxury and pleasures. Nor were they any longer careful to hear the laws that belong to their political government.
What it's also letting you know, there is a correlation between taking a break and taking vacations and getting really comfortable in your life. There is a correlation with that and not staying strong in the law, in sin. There is a correlation between getting comfortable in your life and seeking comfort in your life and starting to get weaker in your spiritual principles.
Yeah.
He's letting you know when they started sitting back here and pushing for their money and their comfort, their standard dropped. They were more susceptible to feeding their weaknesses and their lust and the things that the only way to really stay on top of it, you have to be hyper-focused. Listen, look at your lives. How hard do you have to work to stay on top of your lust? How zoned in? How tuned in and zoned in do you have to be to stay on top of your lust? If you're not in a constant state of war and depravity, you're going to be more susceptible to sin. So what's going to happen when your entire deprivation? Yes.
Yeah, deprivation.
Yeah. But when your entire environment is based on comfort and just things that bring about comfort, then all of a sudden you're going to start seeing your sin multiply. Your sin multiplies right behind the comfort. Yeah. This is what they're saying here. When they got comfortable and into their luxury, then the sins came back.
Because Israel makes provision for the flesh.
But what kills us is we tell ourselves, I'm going to work hard until I get to this point, then I'm going to relax.
It's a lie.
Do we not tell us that? No, it's the truth. And when you do, and when you take that break, the sin comes right behind. The only way to stay potent is to stay in a constant. Listen, what made David's men so great? They were chafed.
Yeah.
They were constantly in a state of being uncomfortable. That constant state of being uncomfortable is what kept their edge, is what kept them able to even keep the law at an optimal level. It's being in an uncomfortable position. But once again, that goes against the nature of all mankind. So once again, the question is, how do I stay strong? How do I stay zealous? First of all, you can't seek luxury. You can't overindulge in a luxury. That has to be something in your life that you just root out. And you start rooting out day by day. If you truly want strength, if you truly want to be consistent, because people always ask this question, but then it seems like when you give them the answer, they stop talking. Well, you got to give up all these things. Oh, okay, well, appreciate it. But earlier, I don't know why. I try and I just can't stay strong. Okay, well, if you want to stay strong, the scripture tells you got to sit back here and not seek comfort. Ever. When you stop seeking comfort and breaks, guess what? You're more in a fighting mindset to break what's inside of you. But then people really don't want to hear that answer, but that's the answer. Let's continue.
God, whereupon the Most High was provoked to anger, and put them in mind, first, how, contrary to his directions, they had spared the Canaanites, and after that, how those Canaanites as opportunities served and used them very barbarously.
So he says, because you didn't kill these Canaanites, I'm going to sit back and have these Canaanites mess with you. Make your life uncomfortable. Once again, you have to look at this story literally and metaphorically. Okay? Look at the Canaanites as an actual nation of people that we didn't fight. One. But also you got to look at the Canaanites as what are these weaknesses in you that you don't fix. These physical Canaanite people that they didn't eradicate, they ended up getting stronger, reestablishing their armies, and they started dealing barbarously with the Jews. Listen, I don't know if you remember reading the book of Judges and Joshua, but these Philistines started getting stronger and pushing the Jews out. Listen, the Dan got kicked out of their land in the south. They got kicked out of their land and to go all the way to the northernmost parts of the land. And the Jews were getting pushed and squeezed closer and closer off their borders. That's what happens when you don't fight every day to break sin in you also. If you don't fight every day to stay on top of sin, guess what happens? Sin gets stronger than you.
It's the Philistines, huh?
That's what I'm trying to explain. You have to look at this concept, not just literal, but spiritual. Everybody in their life has a damn handful set of Philistines waiting to come at you. There's sin in you that you're constantly battling. I just talked to a brother today about, man, I wish I could just eliminate this sin. And or eliminate this out of me. That's not what the Most High intended for us. You know what he intended for us to do? Keep driving this sin to the damn water.
Neither will.
Every damn day, are you going to get up and say, I'm going to fight this sin every day and run it off? This is the mindset that we chose not to tap into at this time. They probably said, I'm tired of killing Canaanites. Every day it's some more of
That's all
them.
my life is. It's killing.
I'm already in my 30s.
Yeah.
How long am I going to be fighting these Canaanites for?
Yeah.
They're not stopping. They're not stopping. Every day I got to kill Canaanites till I die? I don't want to do this. I want to take a break. Isn't that what we tell ourselves? I got to fight every day.
We get sentimental.
I got to fight the sleep demon every day. I got to fight the lust demon every day. I got to fight the pride demon every day.
Yeah.
I got to fight the doubt demon every day.
Yep.
Can't I just take a break and enjoy how far I've come?
All my life is fighting.
It's work. We say work. But work, what does work mean? It's fighting.
Yeah.
It's not work that we have the problem with. It's fighting what's inside of you. Not right now. It's fighting what's inside of you.
Yeah.
Every day. That's what people really don't want to do.
And that dynamic, the dynamic of life is a fight, and life is work. Whether you work or not, that dynamic's not going away.
I know. The only thing that's going to go away is that weakness is going to have more control over
It's
you.
going to be amplified.
Because it's going to have more dominance over you. The only reason that you're in somewhat control now is every day somebody's doing this. You got to fight. You got to fight.
Yep.
You got to fight.
There's needs.
If you remove
real.
yourself from this
It's hard.
and you don't want to fight,
You're not going to.
you're going to start losing. Then all of a sudden, your mind is less clear. You're not as spiritually tuned in as you once were.
Yep.
Men, when they quit, they say, I don't know what happened. When I got back into doing myself, I thought I was going to maintain the same power
No.
that I had when I was in the church.
I've had brothers tell me, listen, man, I don't get the clarity. I don't have the answer that I used to have. Bingo. Exactly. Because what you're doing now, your clarity is clouded because you've been entertaining more sin. Because there's nothing keeping you in check. There's nothing keeping you spiritually tethered to fighting. But the only way to keep you spiritually tethered is to constantly be inconvenienced with war. That's what we don't understand. The very thing that we don't want is what you need to stay spiritually clear. That day-to-day inconvenience, that day-to-day discomfort is what you need to have to be potent enough to fight what's inside of you. Without that discomfort, you're going to keep losing your battles. And all of a sudden, lust that you had control over before, you will no longer have control over.
And then you will get new lust.
And listen, before you get new lust, you'll get old lust.
Exactly. Always comes.
Those guys are coming out. Dirty Mike and the boys are coming out. Dirty Mike and the boys are coming out.
Dirty Mike and the Seven Spirits.
Dirty Mike and the boys are coming out. And there's more negative comes after that, right? It's the truth.
It used to just be weird. I don't know. I just need something else. Like I get it. Then the flesh needs more because you already went to the right hand side of it. You went intense on the right hand side, so now the flesh is to put you intensely on the left hand side.
What am I trying to say? I don't want to get too deep and too mystical.
Yeah.
We understand that these Canaanites, we didn't want to fight them, and we didn't want to eradicate the problem. And because we didn't want to eradicate the problem, that problem grew stronger and stronger and overpowered us. It's the same thing with our spiritual battle. If we're not in a constant state of war against these things inside of us, those spiritual issues or flaws inside of us will grow stronger and overpower us. It's that simple. You know what I'm saying?
And the Most High will create a condition to get the same fight out of you anyway, whether you like it or not. You don't like a person saying what to do?
Well, you know what the crazy thing is? How the Most High broke us here is he started taking all of our riches. Remember in Joshua and Judges? We started losing everything whatever we built and won, we lost quickly.
Gold shields.
We were broke hiding under the damn dirt in caves. By the time we got to Judges. Remember that? All that riches and all these farmlands and all that stuff.
Which is Egypt.
We sat back here and had these fancy chairs and all these raiders came in and took it. And remember what happened? We would sit back here and build the next crop and these nomad raiders would come back and take our crop. And we'd be hiding under caves from these guys. What's the Most High showing us? By nature, we don't like to stay fighting, but if you don't fight and if you don't stay in the spirit of fighting, you're going to lose everything you built. That's the lesson. And that's what's got to be in the back of your mind when you want to take a break and get comfortable. When you want to skip steps. When you want to coast. When you want to think and process from an easy perspective. Y'all understand? Not yet. I want one more verse before we go. I want an actual verse before we go into that. But you want to say something? I want to go to another. I want to finish this off. Go to a verse, and then we'll open it up. Let's continue.
But the Israelites, though they were in heaviness at these admonitions from the Most High.
What do you mean? What does that mean? They were sad that these Canaanites grew stronger and started retaking territory. Read on.
Yet were they very unwilling to go to war.
Even though they started seeing themselves losing land, losing turf, they said, forget it, man. We take that shit anyway. So I guess they supposed to get some of this stuff back. They still didn't want to fight. They still didn't want to fight, stay in a fighting spirit. It's the same thing with our mindset. There are certain times when you're really beamed in and you're studying consistently and you're reading and you're on top of your flesh, you're on top of your diet, everything's disciplined, you're working out, you feeling awesome. And all of a sudden you take a break. You take it easy. And then all of a sudden, your mind ain't the same way. Your thoughts aren't as clear. Your motivation to be strong ain't the same.
The choices.
Yeah.
And then even though you know you're losing that traction and that motivation to fight, what do you tell yourself? I'll get back to it. I mean, these are the ebbs and flows of the truth, bro. Sometimes you have the highs and sometimes you have the lows. No, that's you just not wanting to fight. You know there's problem. Listen, can you imagine you got guys with axes and pitchforks and swords across the street? You're like, these guys want to fight. And they're ready to fight. They want their land back. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. These guys want in. They want, and then what happens is they'll take an acre of yours and you don't say nothing. Say for instance, you got 40 acres. And then now you got 39. I'm okay with 39. Then they all say, look at this, 35 acres. I didn't need that stuff anyway. I'm going to go and put a fence up there tomorrow. And then it's 34 and a half. They're just constantly taking property out and you're just letting it slide. But that's what's happening in your spirit. This is how a man can be potent one day and on drugs the next day. This is how a man can be potent one day and lead the truth the next day. Is our wife can sit back here and be married one day and she's chasing dudes another day. This is how it happens. A little bit of comfort, a little bit of ease, a little bit of not staying on top of your routines, your discipline routines, and you're out of there. And your thinking is completely changed. That's how it goes down. Let's continue.
I lost myself, brother.
That's how you lose. You lose yourself because you keep letting these damn Canaanites take more land and territory without you doing anything about it. Didn't it say about the slothful man? What does the slothful man do? Look, there's a lion in the streets. Yeah. He's a big lion. He is growling. Man, what am I going to do?
He's getting closer.
He's getting closer. He's got blood on his mouth. He's looking at me. What am I going to do? Maybe if you stay real stiff, you won't look at me anymore like this. What are you going to do? You're not going to look for any type of weapons. It's just going to keep coming to you. That's our mindset, though. We see problems. We can diagnose a problem. But we still, because you're not exercised in fighting what's inside of you, you don't fight it. If you want to be in a fighting spirit, stay in a fighting spirit. Because most of us, once we stop fighting, we almost got to hit rock bottom before we come back up and fight again. When you hit rock bottom, you lose everything. And that's why Israel can't really grow and achieve in the truth. Because we stop and start, fight and stop, fight and stop, fight and stop, try and stop. There's never a consistent enough of a fighting spirit to see success in the work. But let's continue.
Yet were they very unwilling to go to war. And since they got large tributes from the Canaanites.
So what was happening is the Canaanites were paying tribute to them, but they were still disrupting commerce and trade, disrupting society. They were marrying into each other's families. Everything was falling apart. Read on.
And were indisposed for taking pains by their luxury.
Just like the Egyptians were. They didn't want to sit back here and stay on top of governing these people. They just were sitting back here having the Canaanites do it. But they were sitting back here getting more momentum, more power, more position, more of a foothold in our society, breaking it down. Read on.
They suffered their aristocracy to be corrupted also, and did not ordain themselves a senate.
What it means is they didn't structure their government. And if you didn't structure your government, you also didn't structure what? A military. They didn't have a military.
Yeah.
They didn't have a military. They didn't have a structure. They didn't run they didn't run a governmental system. Because everybody's about getting their land and covering their own ass.
And they're not ignorant because they lived in Egypt.
Yes, they know how a society is. They know they had an army. They had structure. We didn't want to do all that, right? We just want to have things, right? Having things.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? When I hear that song, all I'm thinking about is this guy got a car with rims,
Elbow.
and he got some cash in his pocket, and you know he got what else he got? He got wood grain. He got wood grain. He got a couple chains. He got wood grain wheels.
Double dose marble flow.
Listen, all around me. Listen, I'm in an apartment, and you go home after sitting back here riding on slab, and you're taking jewelry off and put it in one area, and you chilling and smoking drugs to calm down the next day. Like, dude, what about your nation? What about government? What about protecting your borders? No, man. Whatever, man. I just worried about my block, man. That's all I care about, my block. I don't care nothing about these borders. I don't care about nothing about foreign and domestic issues. None of that, man. If it ain't about my block, man, I don't want to do nothing with it, man. That's our people.
Yeah.
That's our people, like. So he's like, listen. This is the issue. We didn't want to establish government order. People, listen, government is a service. Everybody comes together for the service of the people.
Yeah.
But there's no money in that. It don't make sense in that. It don't make sense then. That's my point. That's what I mean. Let's read.
And did not ordain themselves a senate, nor any other such magistrates.
That means officers, police. There's no police.
No pop-up, man.
There's no army. Hey, we don't want 12 in our city. Ain't no 12 in Jerusalem, dog. Ain't no 12 in Judah, dog. Listen, this is what's happening. This is what's being said. Ain't no 12 in Judah, in Simeon, in Benjamin, dog. None of that, dog.
Y'all gotta handle that, man.
Listen, you gotta handle it on your own, man. Listen, and that's what happened. When you read, when these Canaanites and Philistines were attacking us, you on your own, man. You better get your swords, man. You better get your hands up, your hand game on, man. You better train your servants how to fight, man.
That dudes back then not do the same.
It's the truth. Read the book of Judges.
Yeah.
It was every man for himself.
Yeah.
Every man for himself, every city and jurisdiction for yourself.
They took your farm. I feel bad for you, man.
I feel bad, man. Well, what you gonna do next, man? What's your next move, man? Listen, this is what's happening. I'm not reading into this. Is what the scriptures are saying, or the history is telling you. Read on, right?
Nor any other such magistrates as their laws had formerly required. But they were very much given to cultivating their fields.
Hey, was the fields that important, man?
Yeah.
Damn, man.
I gotta come up.
Listen,
Where
man.
the money was at?
I got to get my harvest right, so I can sell it at the flea market.
Yeah.
I got to get I'm gonna get my vegetables and fruits and take it to the flea market. I can get paid, man.
Come up.
and make this money bread. I mean, this bread, man. That's what I don't care about nothing else.
Dollar bill.
If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Forget government structures, systems, organizations, the law and order in general.
Yeah.
Anyway,
A civilized society.
listen, nothing. Borders, nothing. Sovereignty, your country. We need an army. Maybe we need to build a navy up. Navy, man. No black people like in the water, man. Ain't doing that, man. We ain't getting on Navy, man.
Too far from home, man.
Listen, we're joking. We're stretching this out, but you get the point.
Far from home.
You know what? If it don't affect me exactly, I don't want to do nothing.
Yeah.
If it don't affect me, why would I got to sit back and do more?
Yep.
That's the selfish mindset that our people have. If it doesn't directly involve with me, I'm not worried about it. And that mindset, that selfish mindset, broke the nation. And that selfish mindset, when you look in the mirror and you tell yourself you've done enough. Because you even sit back here and you'll shortchange yourself. Listen, we shortchange the nation and we shortchange ourselves every day when we say we've done enough. Listen, I'm not going to name names. There was a brother who was gaining weight. You know what he told me? As long as my chest is as big as my stomach, that's all that matters. I'm like, damn, that's the answer, right? As long as my chest is as big as my stomach, I'm not going to worry about it.
That's negalations.
That is a brother shortchanging his own spirit. You're doing yourself harm. Listen, that's a true story. And you look up, and guess what? Something was bigger than his chest. I don't think that ratio. You're not going to win that battle.
No.
You keep eating out. How big are you going to get your chest out?
Those Philistines
You can be. How much bench press do you need to do to catch up with bad chicken and hamburgers, like in pizza? Right? You're going to lose. But what happens? We shortchange the nation with our slothfulness, and we shortchange ourselves because we don't keep pushing ourselves and challenging ourselves. Then we wonder why we have sicknesses and our body breaks down and we're unhealthy. Read on.
But they were very much given to cultivating their fields in order to get wealth.
Let me do just enough for me to get by. I'm not worried about the body, and I'm not worried about myself. On a spiritual level, read on.
Come, which great
Indolence.
indolence of theirs brought a terrible sedition upon them.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's
they
a major point right there. Great indolence brought a sedition upon them. What's indolence?
Let's look it up.
Indolence, 1828, Webster's Dictionary.
Yeah.
You had no chance. Go ahead.
God. Habitual idleness.
Habitual
idleness. Great, not just habitual idleness, great habitual idleness.
Brother.
Created sedition. Go to sedition.
No. You got to keep going to indolence.
Keep going indolence.
Freedom from pain.
Listen.
Man.
Listen. That's what we deal with. It's constantly a battle of, do I want to stay uncomfortable, or do I want to sit back here and be free of pain?
Yeah.
That's always the dynamic we're always facing. Doesn't the mind of most people looking for breaks? We're just looking for breaks all the time.
Yeah.
That's the flesh. The flesh is always looking for a break. It's always looking for an out. It's always looking for some carnal relief. But he says, what kills us is that eventually that slight looking for a break ends up turning into, I have to have a break. I've got to get a break. I can't operate unless I get a break. Then your whole mindset is based upon your whole life is looking for a break, looking for ease. And you jump from one set of ease to another pursuit of ease. That's the flesh. We're looking at this on a nationalistic level or individualistic spiritual level. This is what breaks us. This is why we keep getting asked this question month in month out. How do I stay zealous? What you're saying is, how do I stay from wanting ease? I want ease all day. All day I dream about ease. There should be a shoe called that. All day I dream about comfort. Wait. ADD. Adidak. All day I dream about comfort. That's what was really that we deal with that.
What's that? Slothfulness.
Whatever. Yeah, slothfulness. All day I dream about sloth. Comfort. Whatever you want to call it. That's what really the question that brothers are asking, what it really is. How do I stop looking for comfort and looking for the easy way? It first of all starts with, before I go to the answer, let's not deal with the answer yet. Are we finished with that? You had something else you said you wanted to.
It goes.
So indolence is extreme, literally freedom from pain, habitual idleness.
It says
indisposition to labor. There's another one. Indisposition to. I'm anti-labor.
I'm not disposed.
I'm anti-sacrifice.
I'm anti-sacrifice.
Kinda.
It's a game. Indolence leads to sedition. Read that point again in the scripture. In the history. Not the scripture, history. Read that again.
Which great indolence of theirs brought a terrible sedition upon them.
Brought a terrible sedition upon them. It's not an insurrection, but it's a rising of problems and issues. A rising of an amplification of events and issues that lead to your decline as a person, as a state, as a household.
The more laziness and comfort wins, the more problems you have. So what is it? More indolence, more problems. Not more money, more problems.
It's more
indolence, more problems.
That's facts.
It's the truth. The more you desire comfort and laziness, the more problems come behind that. You got more?
That's it.
So, continue.
And they proceeded so far as to fight one against another.
Now, you know what that meant? Well, I'm not going to fight the real battle, but I'll fight my brothers.
Yeah.
And argue with my people.
That's in the trucks. That's in the mall.
That's what. Listen, brothers will argue with the brother next to him on the truck.
Because they don't.
They won't argue with that demon in them that wants to sit back and go to sleep.
Because they don't.
There's a sleep demon you won't fight with.
They have power to argue. They got power to argue with.
Sleep. No arguments. No arguments. But I will fight with a brother. I'll argue with him. I'll have enough energy to stay awake to argue.
Yeah.
But after the argument's over with my brother, I'm going to sleep. The flesh wins. This is the truth.
Yeah.
What's that power? We said we'll fight with our brother, but not fight their problems in us. Does that sound like the Jew? That sounds like the Jew to me.
Yep. I don't have any answers for problems. When it comes to me, you get checked or critique, you got 1,000 excuses. You got 1,000 excuses. Because like solve this problem. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Yeah, I need help.
Yeah.
But when it comes to critique, I got a whole
1,000 swords, like Wu-Tang
1,000 swords to argue with you. You got new creative ways of attacking arguments. No answer for any real practical problem.
For you, what's inside of you?
Yeah, that's crazy.
This is our people, and we're going to avoid the big problems around us. We'll avoid the issues. So we're going to let that go. We'll let that go, and we'll go back to the Josephus later. But what I want to go now is go to 2 Samuel chapter 11. And this chapter, it really hits because this chapter deals with David, right? David was obviously a great man and a man after the Most High's heart. And for the most part, David always led from the front. He led all the battles with his men. It was him and Joab, and these dudes was ride or die, fighting battles left and right consistently. And the Most High was always honoring David because he was leading from the front. He wasn't into his comfort. He wasn't so into that king moniker that he lost the ability to fight, sacrifice, and be in the battle with the men. But check this out now. This chapter 11 deals with when he sinned with Bathsheba. Now, I'm not going to read all the story about him and Bathsheba. We've heard it 1,000 times. But what I think is important, we briefly glossed over it in Josephus about how when a person wanted comfort, what went with comfort? Sin. The more a person pursues comfort, sin is right on your door. And the declining of your spiritual standards falls with your decline of wanting to fight. So, Let's read 2 Samuel chapter 11 and 1.
2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 1. And it came to pass, after the years was expired.
Stop. And it said it came to pass after the year was expired. What this means is when the season goes back to the spring. They don't sit back and lay sieges on countries when it's cold as hell outside. They wait till the snow fades and it starts getting sunny outside and it starts getting warm around April. March, April is when besieging time comes in. It's jacked up. In war terms, it's the springtime. It's time to go to war.
Yeah.
It's time to surround your countryside and ransack your village.
And get some.
Listen, that's what the Babylonians did. That's what Nebuchadnezzar did. They do right before it gets cold, which is like in November, or they'll go right after it's over. And when they're expecting a lengthy siege, sometimes these sieges go for 4 to 6 months. They're not like a quick 1 or 2 week thing. They have to sit back here with all their supplies and their horses and camels and food, and they got to wait outside and encamp your area until you start running low on your supplies.
Oh, supplies.
So the city that you're besieging might have a 4-month stock. So while we're gonna wait out you 4 months, then we got 8 months.
We're gonna block all the roads.
Or we got 4, and we got some more supplies coming. So when you guys start breaking, we have you surrounded.
And you can read about it in the Maccabees. Not going there, but it got bad, bro.
What is it? It got bad on many occasions. We got surrounded multiple times the same way. So this was, at this particular time, David was supposed to go besiege the country Syria, and break them. Okay? Read it from the top again.
2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 1. And it came to pass, after the year was expired, and the time when...
At
the time when kings go forth to battle.
He's telling you, kings at the springtime is when they lead their people to battle. Is that not God?
No, I just thought that was so. It was a routine.
Hell yeah!
They always.
Yeah.
This is not.
This is breaking country's ass season. Right now, it's springtime. Let's go and besiege them.
A constant statement. Every year, always going back to the same routine.
Well, if there's beef, what it's saying is, it's not that it's hunting season and it's killing nation season. It's not necessarily that. There was issues maybe in November or October or September. It's okay. Once again, this is about payments. If you're not going to pay us our monies, our tribute, then we're going to come and get you. We're going to come see you when it's warm outside. Why are we going to get everybody cold? We're going to get you when it's warm outside. Where you going to go? You ain't going nowhere anyway. Listen, it's already the dead season, so how much supplies do you have? How much supplies you got? Not nothing. It's cold outside. It just finished getting cold. I mean, now it's warm now, but it's just starting to get warm. So everything's iced up. That means you're running low on your supplies too. That's the best time to get them before they can harvest their crops.
But there was a constant state of marriages and marriages.
Yeah, but this is king season. When kings, my point is, I don't want to drive the fighting season as much as this is the time when kings lead their subjects in war. And this is what David had a habit of doing, was leading his subjects in war from the front. Read on. Now, and like I told you, these besieging processes take 6+ months. You out on the road, man. And as a king, that means you're what? Uncomfortable. You're living in tents, man.
Yeah.
You're living in tents for 6-7 months away from all the luxuries of being a king. But David was a warrior. And most of the time, he tapped into that spirit and was okay with being uncomfortable. Today, he wasn't. Read on.
It says, at the time when kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab.
Normally, he goes with Joab. But this one, Joab, you run it. You run the besieging. Read on.
And his servants with him, and all Israel.
The entire nation goes, and I'm going to fade back and wear my silk pajamas out. They got the letter D on it now. Remember like Laverne and Shirley had that fancy airlock? And the fancy elders, all the clothing, had the calligraphy. He had his fancy D shirt on, like just chilling, just with his robe on. The whole nation was gone in war, and he faded back.
They're gonna win.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident we're gonna get a W here. I don't feel like fighting today. What's happening to David? He's getting comfortable. He got comfortable. He got soft, and there was consequences to it. Read on.
It says, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah.
But that took months. They're just giving you an overview that, yeah, by the way, they did win. But that took months. Read on.
But David tarried.
David tarried. And this was the point we had driven months ago in the classes on Sabbath. David tarried. And that was the beginning of the fall of David. His pursuit of comfort. When David was out fighting and in a spiritual mindset, he wasn't susceptible to sin. When he got comfortable and didn't fight his battle and didn't stay in his war, then all of a sudden, well, what was he going to occupy his time with? Lust. Now, you're going to read about how, I'm not going to go into it today because I don't want to take the whole focus into the story of Bathsheba. But instead of sitting back here and fighting on war, focus on war and focusing on inspiring the body, he's taking a break. And right after he takes the break is when the floodgates of sin happen in his life. That's what the tarrying does. Hold this and go to Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 5 and 7.
Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 7. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord.
Make no tarrying in fighting what's inside of you. Turn to the Lord is making those necessary changes in you. He's like, don't take these breaks. Don't take breaks. Don't take these rest breaks when it comes to sitting back here and what's the word? Manufacturing whatever you need to fight what's inside of you. Don't take breaks in that process. Read on for the top.
Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verse 7.
You said don't take breaks in the process of creating the fight necessary to maintain your edge.
Because listen, what was David's edge from the beginning? He stayed in the battle. The second he tarried and got comfortable is when he sinned. Now we're in Ecclesiastes. Don't make tarrying when it comes to serving the Lord. Don't sit back here and get comfortable and take breaks from your studying. What does it take for you to keep on top of your spirit? First of all, have brothers and sisters worked hard enough to even learn how hard you have to work to keep your mind and spirit strong? How much studying you have to invest? How much fight you have to manufacture? There's a reason we have classes 4 days a week.
Yeah.
You're supposed to get taught for 4 days, but guess what the other 3 days are supposed to be? Catching up. How many people have got all the Sabbath classes written up in notes and got lessons and know all that stuff?
I got notes. I don't know.
Well, listen, there's 600 classes online, yo. Are we all caught up on them? There's a whole lot of Tarian and SOT. Esoteric. Sort of Terry.
That's not the goal right
Sort of Tarian right here, bro. What am I trying to say? There's a lot of classes. Just keep working on it. But everyone should know how much studying you need to do to keep your mind strong. Have you not have your own experience of studying for a couple days a week, and when you stop, you start losing it mentally?
Oh, yeah.
Your thoughts start going left.
Well, it's a couple days.
Your thoughts aren't clear like they normally are. You don't have the same potency and the willingness to sit back and attack a thought.
Yeah.
We normally will sit back, as soon as a weak thought comes to you, you'll attack it immediately. And if you don't study, you'll play with those thoughts more.
Yeah.
It's a gradual breakdown. You play with the thoughts, you entertain the weakness. And then the more you entertain them, all of a sudden you let all the doors in, you let the windows open. And all those spirits come in there, they're hanging out your house, eating your chips out,
Living life.
drinking your alcohol out. It happens in your house. That's how it happens. So once again, David tarried. David took a little break and got comfortable and sinned behind it. He's like, listen, what he didn't want to accept was that the wars kept him spiritually strong.
Everybody hates the battle, but you can't deny what it creates inside the man.
The battle and the war kept him potent. It kept him connected to the Most High. It kept him thinking about the body. It kept him out of a selfish mindset. You want to say?
I had a sequence I wanted. This is right line what you're going with.
Okay, let me finish verse 7 and we can roll it. Go back to verse 7.
God, Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 7. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord.
Don't waste time when it comes to the change you need to connect with the Father. Read on.
And put not off from day to day.
What are we the kings and queens of? Procrastination. I'll put off studying tomorrow. And then you get to tomorrow, what happens? Something pops up. You really did intend to go and study on the next day, but you know what? Plans change.
Problems change.
Problems happen. But you know what you should be doing? If you take every opportunity to get your studying in, even if something happens, you can always stay on top of your scenario. But when you start tarrying and pushing things back and I'll do it later, you never end up catching up. And that's how you end up breaking down spiritually. Read on.
For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in the security thou shalt be destroyed, and perish in the day of vengeance.
So what is he telling you? We better learn urgency. We have to operate in the spirit of urgency if we want to stay on top of our spirit. But we give ourselves this false sense of security. We tell ourselves we're good. We tell ourselves we're good enough. We tell ourselves we've sacrificed enough. We tell ourselves we've changed enough. And we've come a long way. We say all these things. We're going to go into it later, but those are prime examples of folding of the hands, slumber of sleep.
Yeah.
And when you do that, the whole house falls down.
And it's almost like
Sure.
that whole dynamic just fit that
Proverbs 28,
that problem you just broke down.
and Ecclesiastes 14,
A little folding the hands, little by little, issue by issue, problem by problem. It's not overnight.
28,
It's an
16,
accumulation of issues that break the house.
and
Accumulation of issues that break down your marriage. The accumulation of issues that break down your clarity of thought and your sobriety. It's an accumulation of issues that break up your work ethic. It's an accumulation of issues that break up a relationship with the brother that should have been developed, should have been on point, should have been strong. It's the accumulation of issues that I sleep on.
Give me covetousness in 1828. Someone give me Proverbs 28 and 16. Another brother give me Ecclesiastes 14 and verse 9 real quick. Give me that Proverbs 28 first.
Proverbs 28, verse 16. Yep. The prince that wanteth understanding is also a great oppressor.
Is that when a leader lacks understanding, when they have gaping holes in their development, they become an oppressor. David became an oppressor because of this one element that he tapped into. We become oppressors because of specific elements that we didn't solve in our developmental stage, in our leadership. But what is an element of wanting or lacking that a lot of us have to shake off before we even become leaders? Read on.
The prince that wanteth understanding is also a great oppressor.
Read.
But he that hateth covetousness.
He says there's a contrast though. It says there's a prince that lacks understanding. He's the oppressor. It says, but the person that hates covetousness, give me that.
1828, Webster's Dictionary. A strong or inordinate desire of obtaining and possessing some supposed good.
Meaning, it's a desire to get what you think you deserve. It's a desire to have the rib you want. It's a desire to have the house that you want. It's a desire to have the amount of sleep that you want. It's a desire to have the comforts that tailor-made to you. Is that strong desire? Is the wanting, or is what holds people back? And the conflict and the pursuit of that makes you an oppressor. for David, his desire for his comfort, which led to his desire for that woman, he became an oppressor to that woman's husband.
Yep.
He became an oppressor versus the upright man that he once was, that he normally is. But that desire, that strong desire to get that supposed good, that good of the wife, the good of the rest, the good of the time off, that's what led him astray. Read on in that 28, in verse 16.
It says,
No. In Proverbs.
but he that hateth covetousness shall prolong his days.
He says, if you hate covetousness, meaning chasing after the desires for what you want, chasing after desires which aren't necessarily sin. Wanting a wife isn't sin. Wanting to sleep isn't sin. Wanting to rest isn't sin. But the desire to change, to chase after that, where now it starts shifting your spirit from fighting to comfort,
The compromise.
that's when it becomes iniquity. Now leaving at Ecclesiastes 14 and verse 9.
Ecclesiastes chapter 14 and verse 9.
Because to get what I want, I have to compromise and give up something else. To get more in the flesh, I have to compromise more on my spirit. Read on.
A covetous man's eyes is not satisfied with his portion.
Meaning the Most High gives us what we need. He gives us some good. It's not like we never get no good in our life. It's not like we didn't have opportunities for comfort, opportunities for success, opportunities for stability. We were given these things. But the covetous man, the man that wants more, the man that wants more good because he sees it's available, he sees it's there. When that becomes his focus, that becomes his priority. Read from top again.
Con. A covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion.
You start despising what you already got. You read later in that story, we're not going to read it, but the Most High told David, I would have gave you more wives. That's what you wanted. I would have gave you what you want. Why did you have to force your way to get what you want? Why do we have to force and take what we want that the Most High didn't authorize us to get at that time?
You know why? Because we want the things we don't have because the pursuit of the battle isn't important to us. All these things happen because we don't value the format and the way the Most High develops us.
Okay.
We don't like that. We don't like how the Most High builds our spirit. He builds our spirit through labor, affliction, and battles.
Yeah.
And we tell ourselves, I've battled long enough. Now it's time for me to take a break. That's the mindset we take. And then when we stop being in the fighting mindset, then where does our mind go into? What I don't have in the flesh. Think about this. There's two paths of life we can take. Either there's always another spiritual lesson to gain, or there's something else in the carnal I haven't gotten yet.
Yeah. Exactly.
The answer is always more. Either we're going to sit back and pursue for more in the spirit, or we're going to pursue for more in the flesh. Even in 1 John it says the eyes are always wanting.
Yep.
The flesh and the eyes it's never enough.
Nope.
There's never contentment in the flesh. So the only way to break that contentment in the flesh is to pursue the spirit.
Okay.
And in doing that, that means you have to be comfortable and embrace the spirit of warfare, spiritual warfare. Didn't mean to change.
Yeah, no, you're good. Just on that point, because we're dealing with the subject of staying consistent and staying zealous. You see, what the Most High does is, when you're trying to stay consistent, He'll dangle the idea of more lust in your face. Or rather, that idea will be in your face. He's not trying to tempt you. We understand that in James 1:13. But He knows what's in you. So if you want more, remember, wisdom is going to try you. For those that want more spiritual understanding and want knowledge, wisdom is going to keep trying you and take you through crooked paths because she don't trust you. The spirit of wisdom, the pure influence from the Almighty, does not trust us as man, as flesh. Because when we get it, we abuse it. So what the wisdom does, read it from the top again, verse 9.
Ecclesiastes chapter 14 verse 9. A covetous man's eyes is not satisfied with his portion.
I'm going to put you in situations where now you have to decide me over your comforts. Anybody ever notice whenever you want to study, there's more opportunities for comforts, there's more opportunities for lax that gets put in your face. There's more distraction. All of a sudden, you want to go home and study early, right? You got off day. And then you got to end your life. I got to fix this car right now. I mean, I was going to read the Bible today, but, I'm hearing a squeaking noise in my brake system. I see a leak all of a sudden. Now your whole day's blown dealing with your car. Is dealing with your car sin? It's not sin. But you're going to lose something in the spirit. You had an opportunity. That might have been the day where you had a spiritual breakthrough. When the Most High would have gave you understanding. Because that happens too. Some days you read, you don't get it. You'll be reading one day, and all of a sudden, you have a eureka moment. It makes sense now. It clicks. That could have been the breakthrough there. You don't know. But you play with getting what you want. Although it wasn't sin, it was a desire that wasn't the Most High's desire. Read on. And what's the result?
Then it gets easier the next day
to not
choose whatever passions you got over your growth.
Read on to finish it up.
And the iniquity of the wicked dried up his soul.
What dries up your spirit?
The iniquity of the wicked.
The iniquity is choosing the path, choosing the pursuit that wasn't wisdom. Choosing the pursuit that wasn't consistency. To stay consistent means I'm steadily doing the same thing that I want to achieve. To be good at anything, you have to steadily do the same thing every day.
Now listen, that's going to tie in a little bit later.
Okay.
We're going at it a little bit later. Let me do this. Hold that. Go to Ecclesiastes 33, verse 24 to 27. That goes here. That's still in the answer. That's towards the answer. Right?
Okay.
Let's go real quick. Ecclesiastes 33, verse 24 through 27. Because once again, we're getting back on David and how he tarried. He got comfortable. And when he got comfortable, that's when the sin kicked in. Okay? Read verse 24. It still ties in with the point, but read on. This is how the Most High looks at a servant and how the Most High looks at dealing with us as servants. Read on.
Ecclesiastes chapter 33 and verse 24 reads, Father, a wand and burdens.
Fodder, meaning food. Okay? Read on. I said a wand, meaning for correction, and work. Read on.
And burdens are for the ass, and bread, correction, and work for a servant.
Didn't the Most High say in Leviticus 25 and 55 that we're his servants? So when you sit back and look at it, the Most High says bread, correction, and work keeps us in line. It keeps us in a fighting spirit. But the flesh is always looking for a break. It still goes back in that dynamic. Read on.
Verse 25. If thou set thy servant to labor, thou shalt find rest. But if thou let him go idle, he shall seek liberty.
Mm-hmm.
A yoke and a collar do bow the neck. So are tortures and torments for an evil servant.
Give me verse 25.
Verse
27, I'm sorry.
Verse 27. Send him to labor, that he be not idle. For idleness teacheth much evil.
The idleness teaches the evil. When David was sitting back here and when he tarried and when he chose not to fight with his men, that opened the door for the sin. It's the same thing for us. When we seek comfort, when we don't stay on top of our mind and our flesh, if we are going to take a break, for instance, can we give the Most High his first? We always say this in council. Brothers want to sit back here. I know a lot of men binge watch television shows, right? Sisters too. Why do we have time to binge watch television? Do you ever binge watch reading the scriptures?
No.
How many of y'all have sat back here and said, I've heard brothers, I spent a whole weekend, I watched 5 seasons of whatever the hell. Now, have you read 5 seasons of the Bible? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Acts? Have you read 5 seasons of the Bible? 5 books of the Bible? Each book is a season?
That's too much.
That's too much reading.
That's a lot.
We can't even read 5 chapters. How about 5 chapters?
That's a lot. I can
I can sit back here and knock out. What's this? Well, give me a famous television show on Netflix. I go Breaking Bad or something like that. You can go. This is a dynamic show. It's so dynamic.
characters.
I'm going to watch Better Call Saul now. I want to know the backstory. That's not 4 seasons. You're just throwing your life away. What about studying? You can talk about Jesse, though. El Camino. We'll watch El Camino now. You know, all these extra stuff, huh? But you're not going to sit back here and just take the time and read the Bible. That idleness starts to break you down. But once again, then we'll sit back and say, how do I maintain my fervency? How do you maintain your fervency? You got to keep doing the work.
I know what happened.
We'll go into the answer to that. The idleness is what breaks you. When David tarried and took a break, that broke him. You got a question? Yeah. I've got the chair.
It's called a break for a reason.
Kinda. that brother.
Breaks the man.
Kinda. We don't look at it like that. Give me Proverbs 23:4. It's really a shame, man. And once again, I'm not sitting back here and saying people can't watch television shows. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that brothers and sisters can't do recreational things. But can you give the Most High His? Listen, we'll sit back here and do recreational things before we give the Most High His. And we expect the Most High to honor that. Why can't we give Him His first? Then we get and do whatever we're going to do. Why can't we do that? Doesn't make sense, bro. Proverbs 23 in verse 4. And let me see. Yeah, let's do this. And I have a definition that I want to focus on. Okay. Okay, read that.
God. Proverbs 23 and verse 4. Labor not to be rich.
Listen. Now, when you sit back here and go into the Eastward definition of the word rich, you know what rich meant in Hebrew? Ashar.
Wow. That's a bar by itself.
That's the point.
It's over.
Listen, Ashar means happy.
Wow.
So why do people go to work? I want to get something out the deal. I want to get this bread. I want to be happy. I'm working to be happy.
That's great.
I know.
Come on.
Labor not to be rich. Yes, it says rich, but the rich in Hebrew is ashar, which means happy.
It's a lie. You're in your mind. You're really putting this fake carrot in front of yourself.
Yep.
Because the idea of happiness isn't real. Because your idea of happiness is based off the flesh.
Kinda.
Now, if your idea of happiness is the spirit, then you should labor to be happy in the spirit. But 99 to maybe 98% of us, our idea of happiness is not spirit-based. It's carnal-based.
Kinda.
If I'm polo head to toe, I'm not going to lie.
If you're polo head to toe.
If I'm polo head to toe, it's going to be all right.
Kinda.
That's what a person's idea, not everybody, but everybody's idea of happiness. Listen, I'm polo head to toe, bro. Socks, shoes, everything's got horses on it.
You gotta have shoes. You gotta have horse socks too, right?
There's horses everywhere.
You gotta have horse socks too, right? The socks gotta be
horses everywhere I look.
God,
Everything's horsed up. Pillowcase horsed up.
Forget he'll figure out.
And I will do that. Everything's horsed up. There's horsepower everywhere I look. Everything's multiple colors. It's not going to get stained up at all. I'm going to take care of it. Everything smells fresh. I'm happy. I made it. That idea destroys men because now you're fighting to get this carnal apex of happiness. For women, my husband doesn't appreciate me and just say, "You're such a great woman. Thank you for everything you've ever done for me. I'm so happy to be with you and thank you so much." You're fighting to get that thank you. And you're not going to get it after a period of time. And it's going to make you decline from your labors.
But because the thing is this, what should
All
make
of us like that.
Listen, what should make us happy?
The Holy Spirit.
There you go. It's the pursuit of the Most High.
It's
This is something about motivation. This is what motivation.
Yeah.
What gets you up in the morning, huh? That's what the Most High is checking us on. What gets you going? If the pursuit of stability and financial stability gets you comfortable and gets you happy, that's not what you should be laboring for.
Because once you get to that quote unquote idea of stability,
where is the Most High included?
Why fight this? Why fight now?
Why serve the Most High?
Why do this?
Why do you need the Most High if you got all this money in your account?
Listen, I've heard it word for word.
Listen, I see the Jews. Listen, you can't tell a Jew nothing when it's income tax time, right? When the Jews get income tax or an insurance payment comes in, they're not listening to counsel.
Counsel's done.
They get an insurance. They get like 5 racks for an insurance situation.
Out the way.
Listen to that. Listen to that. We've talked about this for years.
Yeah.
Israel get a little bit of money. You can't tell them nothing.
Here's about 10 G's from the car accident.
Shit. He might be out for. He might be gone for like 2 or 3 months.
He'll be back in like 2 years out.
Having fun.
Shalom. Have things to take care of.
We're not making this up at all. So when the Most High is saying labor not to be rich, what is he saying your motivation should be? Because now we're dealing with motivations. Just like the motivation of the Jews was about accumulating for themselves, and it wasn't about their people. And it wasn't about pleasing the Heavenly Father. What was the real issue? Was it the fact that they had money, or all they cared about was that pursuit? What the Most High is trying to get us to fall in love with is the pursuit of wisdom.
If
everybody wants to know how to stay motivated, you got to fall in love with the pursuit of wisdom. And that's what we don't do. We don't love the pursuit. We love the pursuit of money and carnal happiness. We don't love the pursuit of spiritual lessons. If we get a promotion in the world, we're happy as hell. If we learn a better way of maintaining your spirit, let's like whatever.
It's cool.
We don't value the steps of spiritual growth that the Most High is leading us to. We don't value that. What do we value? We value just our money, our pace, our life. That's what we value. Read on. In Proverbs 23.
Proverbs 23, verse 4. Labor not to be rich. Cease from thine own wisdom.
Cease from what makes sense to you. Because what makes sense to you is getting comfortable. You know how many people I've heard, let me sit back here and make my money and get on top, then I can get back to the camp? Then I can get to the work?
It's always.
So what you're saying is let me get comfortable, make my money. I don't have to stress about anything. Then I'll give you a little piece of what I made, and I'm doing my job for the Most High. I've heard people say that. Let me sit back and create schemes to get rich, then I'll get back. He's like, listen, stop operating with that mindset, because that mindset is going to keep you inconsistent. Once again, the topic of class is about being consistent and about maintaining zealousness in the work. How does a person stay zealous in the work? You have to keep your spiritual work ethic right. Then you can sit back here. Listen, Scripture says, seek ye first the kingdom of the Most High and his righteousness, then all things be added unto you. If your priority is pleasing the Heavenly Father, then whatever comes after that is cool, it's gravy. We're not anti having enough to sustain your family. Where are your priorities at? Where is your mindset at? What drives you?
What gives you joy?
What gives you joy?
That's the problem.
Is that's what was happening? Listen, people labor to get rich, and that's their joy. And how are you going to gain wisdom and really get closer to the Most High and stay spiritually potent if that's your motivation?
The rich man's joy was his barns and his fruits.
Yep.
It was not his connection to the Father. And then he burned his clock.
Kinda. Listen. Now we go to Proverbs 24 and 30 through 33.
We're doing second chapter.
Yeah.
Proverbs 24, verse 30. I went by the field of the slothful, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And lo, it was all grown over with thorns.
God.
Problems.
God. Problems.
Those thorns are problems.
God.
That sloughness in your marriage creates more problems in your marriage. That slothfulness in your study ethic creates issues with your teaching ability. That slothfulness in your management of comfort in the flesh leads to just dumb decision making, stupid decisions, and letting time pass by. Those thorns are the consequences of bad choices over time. That man's the weeds in my life.
Again, it's the weeds. The Most High uses his teaching lessons and mechanisms in different metaphors. The house of the slothful, the Israelites who got comfortable and effeminate and was into their land and into their cultivating of lands. Yeah. There's just different ways that the Most High says the same thing multiple times. Okay? Read on.
God. And lo, it was all grown over with thorns and nettles that covered the face thereof.
And what he's telling you is constantly pursuing my carnal desires and not maintaining the flaws in my spirit. Okay? Read on.
And the stone wall thereof was broken down.
Listen, how much neglect is around there where the whole stone wall crumbles? Before the stone wall crumbles, it cracks. You don't see the cracks and the breakdowns. You don't see the need to sit back here and buy new brick, tear some of this brick down and buy it down. Listen, I know this much, Jack. This is us in our spirit. And listen, for those brothers and sisters who are homeowners, you know how much work goes into keeping a house looking nice. Just in order to keep a house, you got to keep putting money into it every day. I went out yesterday to take the trash out, and my gate's breaking down. I'm like, this is bull, man. The frame of it, like it's like rotted out. Like, how did it rot out? What the hell happened? But I can sit back and get mad. It's just time. Where's your money? Stop getting angry about the fact that this thing is breaking down and go to the damn store and fix it. But then I'm like, I don't feel like fixing it. I'm teaching the word of the Lord. I'm a teacher of the Lord. Like, get off your you-know-what and make this happen, man. Then all of a sudden you're angry. Why I got to be this way? It's the flesh, Jack. In order to maintenance anything, you got to fight. You got to be uncomfortable. You got to listen, dealing with a house, there's always something that got to get fixed. It's constant. Listen, I've been wrestling with this grass out in front for the longest. It's still got holes and patches. I put new soil. That's not enough, bro. I put seeds over there, and I tried to stomp on the ground and kind of aerate it myself. It was the poor man's aeration techniques. It didn't work. When you broke, you got to do it. Yeah. Then I was like, man, I'm gonna twist my ankle with these little aeration things. So I just kind of sat next to it and pushed it with my hands. And I'm doing like this with the aeration. Get some air. Get some air. Then I'm sprinkling seeds all around there. I try to hope it goes in there and fill these holes, and it's not working. There's weeds there. Like, damn it. Now I got to sit back here and go to the store, tear up the bad weeds there and put new soil on it, put new grass on top of it. This is work, bro. It's always damn work. Then I got tile over the years have cracked. I got to replace tile. Then do I want to sit back and replace 3 damn tile? I want to buy a whole new set of tile. And can I do that? No. That's going to cost me. I got to paint. There's paint demons. There's AC unit demons. There's always, I'll call it demons. It's not really demons and spirits. It's just wear and tear. You want to call them spirits. It's not a spirit. Like, why is my house so hot now? Because my AC isn't operating and functioning as good as it used to. How about that?
Yeah, because the vent might not be.
No, bro, listen. I get what you're saying. I got to get off my you-know-what and spend some money and bring some people out. And it's going to cost real money. And I don't want to hear the real money request. Sit back here. You bring a serviceman over. They're going to tell you, well, everything's got to get replaced. Yeah. There's just problems everywhere. I don't want to hear that, bro. I don't want to hear that. Then they said, listen, I remember the guy last time he came and said, yeah, man, the wood under your AC unit is it's getting kind of bad. I'm like, what? I got to replace the wood? Then if I replace the wood, I got to replace the whole unit. I don't want to hear that. How much money I gotta spend for this damn thing? Once again, but you know what? This is how the work it takes to maintenance it. If I would have stayed on top of it earlier, maybe it wouldn't be as bad. But do we sit back here and stay on top of our issues as they come?
Nope.
We wait till there are major issues and the sky's falling. Now it's a problem. If we would maintain our property and our spirit day to day, we wouldn't have all these issues. But we only deal with problems until it's a real problem. And that's the issue with maintaining zealousness. When you're consistent, you keep all your problems manageable. But then, when you don't do that, when you're slothful, issues get to be like gigantic. And then what do? You like avoid these gigantic problems like as long as you can. Yeah. And hope they go away. You know they're not going to go away.
We're not there.
It's not going to go away, but you hope it is. What am I trying to say? This slothful spirit is why we can't stay zealous. All the issues in us that we choose not to avoid, and we choose to avoid, is why we end up getting swallowed up. Let's continue in Proverbs.
Proverbs 24 and verse 32. Then I saw and considered it well. I looked upon it and received instruction. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travels, and thy want as an armed man.
All it's saying is, when you take the time to tarry and relax, and you tell yourself you've done enough, that's when everything snowballs on you.
Yep, and that's when we as a people get desperate. Because now we're playing the super catch-up game.
Yeah.
And now we realize, man, I blew X amount of years, man. Like, I'm behind. Now I'm trying to burn myself out to regain 3 or 4 years of lost time. And we eventually run ourselves to the ground because we can't regain that time in a 3-month span like we would hope to.
There's only one way to solve it. There's only one way to start gaining momentum and keeping momentum. So you can sit back and keep yourself from the neglect, the spiritual neglect that we all suffer from. Yes, sir.
I just thought it was interesting when it said a little.
Yeah.
You don't think like I didn't get a lot to see. I didn't do a lot of photo ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I did a little bit of photo ahead.
But we do a little bit of it every day.
Yeah.
And then that little bit every day starts catching up. It's just like when you don't study a little bit every day, guess what? Out of 30 days, you might have studied 5 days.
That's a problem.
Listen, it's different. It's one thing to do your assigned camp homework.
Yes.
It's another thing to study. Who only does their assigned camp homework? Don't raise your hand. Who only does that?
That's not studying.
You're writing standards. I will not do this.
Yeah.
I will not do this. Listen, how much brain power do you use in writing standards?
Not much.
You're just writing notes. You're just regurgitating information you just glanced over. How many people are really studying to empower in their mind?
Putting concepts together, different ideas, different stories.
In order to
relate.
Before you even put the concept together for teaching, can you put concept together for your spiritual consumption?
Yeah.
So you can stay strong?
Yeah.
Before you can be a good teacher, you got to be able to maintain your spirit. How many of y'all study so you can get strong and you can get powered up? Man, this scripture really fired me up today. How many of y'all say that? How many of y'all can go in that book and say, man, hell yeah. This scripture is what's going to be my thing today.
Wow.
You know, like everybody, they use the same verse. I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:3. I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me. To appear all things up there.
He that endures unto the end.
It's the same damn verse. Like 2-3 years in a row. Like, dude, can you find another catchphrase verse?
Enduring to the
Can you get another catch verse out? Another hype verse for you? He's only pulling the same verse. You know, my go-to is Ecclesiastes chapter 2.
Yeah.
You know, the tribulations are coming.
Yeah. Exactly.
Come on, man. Can we get some more stuff, man? Can we get new verses, man? Let me explain what it takes to actually gain zealousness and stay consistent. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 8. Once we go here, then we can open it up.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Wisdom of Solomon 8, verse 1. We're going to read through 5. This is Solomon talking. Listen, what better person to find out from than Solomon as to how to sit back and be potent and zealous for the Lord. Okay, at least when he was on point.
Good Solomon.
The good Solomon. Not bad Solomon. Even Solomon got to a point where he tarried and got comfortable. But this is good Solomon. This is potent Solomon. Read that.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 1. Wisdom reacheth from one end to another, mightily, and sweetly doth she order all things.
Mm-hmm.
I loved her.
He says, Solomon said, I loved wisdom. Read on.
And sought her out from my youth.
So the amount of investment that Solomon made towards pursuing wisdom, he said, from my youth I pursued wisdom. Read on.
I desired to make her my spouse.
Now this is what messed my head up. And he says he desired to make wisdom his spouse. Now another word for spouse is to espouse. It is the pursuit of a spouse. Right? But to espouse means this. To espouse, where is that? Yeah, to espouse, it means to unite intimately or indissolubly. Indissolubly. But when it says to unite indissolubly, which is indissolubly, look up that word indissolubly.
Indissolubly.
That was so quick. No way. Get this guy out of here. He's cheating now.
No way. I don't know, bro.
That's cheating now. What you got? Indissolubly.
Indissolubly. 1828 Webster's Dictionary. In a manner.
It's the 1828.
1828.
Yeah.
In a manner resisting separation, firmly united beyond the power of separation.
And in mine it says impossible to break. Permanent. Solomon said his relationship with wisdom was impossible to break. How much time did he invest into studying and reading these scriptures for his relationship with studying to be impossible to break? How many hours did he log in to where his connection to studying and reading and the pursuit and nurturing of this relationship? Listen, don't we talk about marriage? It's about the time you spend, the time you invest, the spirit you build with your wife. He's like, wisdom was his wife. The pursuit of wisdom was his wife. And he had intimate knowledge of the scriptures, intimate knowledge of the word. And the word and Solomon were inseparable. He's telling you the amount of work and dedication it takes to establish zeal. We read zeal and we think that's some damn catchphrase word. Zealous. I'm zealous. I'm zealous for God. Zealous means you're in it to death. To death do us part. I'm in it good, bad, highs, lows, happy, sad, tired, aggravated, frustrated. I'm back here in the book. That is a level of commitment that you need to invest into this word if you want to be classified as zealous. I don't think we understand when he says, I am married to wisdom, that means this bond is unbreakable. That means when you see the words, you see that person. When you see the scriptures, you see that person. There ain't nobody in this room zealous like that. Ain't nobody online zealous like that. But we'll sit back and throw out commitment and dedication and zeal like it's just some light thing. The solution to our zealousness problem, the solution to our commitment issues is nothing else matters but the pursuit of this book every day. You realize that every day there's something new in this book that you didn't know? Do you guys really understand that? There's understanding in this book that you didn't know before. But you got to get to the point where you are in love with the pursuit of understanding this book. How committed are you every day to this to love it? You have to do something every day to love it. Y'all understand that? Mm-hmm. Athletes say they love basketball. Why do they love it? Because they're in the gym hours a day. Right? You know, real hoopers are there all the time. I see these these LA fitnesses, these guys are running for like 15, 20 games, bro. It feels like it. You ran 15 games. What the hell's going on? You love it that much, G?
It's their life.
That's love.
I said ball is life.
That's love. When we say we love the Lord, and we sit back and read for 5 minutes, I'm tired. I am fatigued. Because I'm studying I've done. You sit back and read for 7 minutes, and you're like, man, I don't know how long I can keep up. What's the longest brothers have locked in on studying? Just ask yourself that. 30 minutes? I'm talking about good studying. I'm not talking about you sitting back here
Reading the same chapter over and over again.
and when you study, most guys when they study, you're effing off like 30 minutes before you lock in. Or you're messing off. Your mind can't even lock in for the first 20 minutes of study. Yeah. Then you might get 35 minutes of clarity. Then you zone out. Am I kind of right? For a lot of us? Yeah. How many of us are really putting 2-3 hours in? Consistently? That's what love is. If you're looking at wisdom as your spouse, that means you're committed to understanding the ways of the scriptures. We're always talking about zeal. How committed are you to this word? To understanding the word. To putting everything together. To really understand how the old and the new come together. And it's all intertwined in one. How much do you study? How much do you study your notes before you understand the topics? There's a level of commitment that I don't even think we really understand yet. Because we haven't done enough work for it to click. That's all Solomon is saying. I love the pursuit of wisdom like a man loves a woman. And like a man goes through all the ups and downs to win her love and to understand her and to support her. This is the same thing Solomon did with the scriptures. Mm-hmm. Read it again, verse 2.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 8, verse 2. I loved her and sought her out from my youth. I desired to make her my spouse, and I was a lover of her beauty. You know, music artists. How many hours do they put into writing songs and singing songs and rapping songs?
All day.
Seriously, I'm not sure. I don't know. I know sports.
It's all day.
I know. Like when I used to hit, I would hit like on hundreds and hundreds of baseballs, and I would work out so I would get better in baseball. My whole life was sports. When I was trying to make the league, and there was a certain level of commitment that it was all in, bro. Let me know about music, man.
You got it. I would find any scrap of paper I could find, toilet paper, like little notes, sticky notes. It could be at a gas station. First come to your head.
You gotta write down immediately. So you lose it quick.
You got like tape recorders.
Yeah.
Bags, papers. It's all day.
So what you're saying, now I get that. What you're saying is all day you're going through life, but you're thinking about music.
Yes.
All day you're going through life, but you're thinking about music lyrics, creating lyrics, you're looking at what you're seeing and you're creating a lyric off that.
Yeah, life is music.
That's what you should be doing for scriptures. That's what we should be doing for scriptures. How many guys sitting right here like, man, that verse connects with this verse? I'm right down. How many of y'all are meditating on scriptural concepts? Meditating on how these verses blend in together to help me fight my battles. Yep.
I want to board a verse.
Yeah. I'm just asking the question.
Because the spirit behind what you just said is the same thing that the leaders were praised for, and that's how they operate. Give me Ecclesiastes 44 and verse I'm gonna get straight to the point. Verse 4 and 5. 44 and verse 4 and 5.
Ecclesiastes chapter 44 and verse 4.
So he's saying this is why we should praise famous men, right? The men that we follow after, that we read after, that we aspire to be. Read on.
Leaders of the people by their counsel.
They were leaders because of their counsel ability. Read on.
and by their knowledge of learning.
And because of their knowledge of learning, made them qualified to be a leader. Read.
Meet for the people.
Yep.
Wise and eloquent are their instructions.
Meaning their ability to disseminate information was crisp and clear. Read.
But you can't speak it. You can't think unless you're constantly meditating.
Well, and that's the verse 5. Because to get to that point, what was their state of mind? Read on.
Verse 5. Such as found out musical tunes and recited verses in writing.
This is the spirit in which men were operating. When men were writing musical tunes, were they writing bars just to be out here singing and dancing for parties? Or the songs, like David, were scriptures. They were praises. They were prayers. They were connections. They were prophesying. This is the mindset that the wise men, the men that we're supposed to be praising and following, operate in. That same spirit of always thinking in musical notes. Like for instance, if you play piano or I used to play violin, you thought in notes. There's certain geniuses that see colors in notes, or the notes or the sound, they see colors in sound, something like that. There's a certain level of meditation on how or on every function in life that geniuses operate in. Our goal is to be geniuses or very fluent in the scripture, which means I have to be thinking in scripture in everything I do. How I talk, how I walk. It says their counsels, their delegation, and their learning was so on point because that's all they were thinking about. Their musical notes were scriptures.
On that point, I'm not changing it.
Yeah.
Psalms 119 and 99. I'm going to read this. I'm going to read it. Oh. Psalms 119 and 99. It says, I have more understanding than all my teachers. Oh. For thy testimonies are my meditation.
Yes.
That's what he's saying. Listen, if you really want to tap into zealousness, how committed are you with putting the word in your mind and making the scriptures yours? They got to be yours.
Yeah.
When you see brothers teaching with passion on the podium, that's cool. And it's cool that you study and write down notes that they gave. But you got to get to the point where you understand the message they're bringing out. But you got to make these words yours. But you got to study it enough and meditate it enough towards yours.
Yeah, it can't
it's
be
flowing through
it
you.
It can't be another man's experience, another man's testimony, another man's what he saw. I'm studying to the point where the Most High shows it to you for you. If you're studying it, He shows you what it means, how it applies to your life directly, and then you see the benefit of it because you apply it. You keep applying it until you see where that scripture works. Okay, that angle works. Okay, that decision works. Off of what you've been studying, it's not just another man's experience. The Most High asks you to see the experience of other men, and then get your own experience with Him. Trust Him also.
Don't forget, the topic of the class is about zealousness and consistency. If you want to be zealous and consistent, what are you investing into this book? To get zealous. Listen, even as we've been teaching men, brothers got to be teachers and teachers and teachers. Maybe we're even pushing the wrong way. Brothers have to study to master themselves first.
That's always the first thing.
Because brothers are sitting back here and studying color and who Christ came to save and salvation and chariots and all these different angles, which are great topics. But if we don't have a mastery over what's inside of us, and we don't have a work ethic in studying the scriptures, listen, one thing I used to see Israel do that I had a problem with even when I was young, we would just study to cut people.
Yeah.
Israel would study to cut Esau, to be specific. Brothers would study just to cut Esau on the street speaking.
They became study to cut brothers.
Yeah, but we never learned how to sit back and just learn the Bible and get a mastery of the scriptures so we can be better individuals and learn to love this book.
We taught that for like 6 to 8 years straight. Bro.
Well, I'm talking about when I first came in that way. And I'm just saying, we don't study in that, or we're studying just to teach a breakdown to prove that we can teach a breakdown.
Listen,
that's not right either.
Listen, I thought we always push this. This is what I learned from my experience. Listen, you get the book to master yourself. Period. I tell brothers, don't even study nothing else until you master you. What's the point of you being the smart guy and you're out here flipping out, glitching every 5 minutes, looking weak? But you got the breakdown. You can break it down, but you're looking weak all the time. Why don't you? I would say, brothers, why don't you pick this day to study your inner man? Then after that, study your topics.
And that's when men start glitching. When you start sitting back here and men got to realize, I got to study to teach, then I got to study to work on me.
That's both.
That's when there's a glitch. Because when we used to sit and teach in the mornings, we had to ration out how many basic breakdowns we taught through the week. Because if we taught too much basic knowledge, zones wouldn't produce. So we had to sit back and ration out basic breakdown, 2 motivation classes, basic breakdown, motivation class, to keep everybody balanced out. But hell, with men, with each other, you have to study for you certain days. Then you got to study to teach knowledge.
Yeah.
Then I got to study for my spirit. Then I got to study for knowledge.
And you can tell who don't study for their spirit. You always tell.
God.
They're super sharp with the book. They're smart and this and that. But
their outlook is foul.
They have a crazy perspective. Their perspective is like, do you read the Bible?
Yes.
You're quoting a lot of scripture, but your how you process isn't biblical processing. That means you're studying for information, which is good. But you gotta study to heal. You study to heal. You study to sit here and you're waiting for the counsel to counsel. We don't not want to counsel. I have no problem counseling. But do you study to control yourself, then get counsel?
Listen, the Bible, you see like certain Bibles, it's like the Living Bible.
Yeah.
Listen, is the Bible living for you? Is this book a living, breathing book that you can use to strengthen yourself? Yeah. Do you practice it enough for the Bible to be living and to be alive to you? But when you tell men they got to study for their spirit and then study for knowledge, then it gets overwhelming for people.
That's too much.
Because what you're saying is there's no time to chill.
No.
There's no time to party now.
That's what we're at here.
Now there's no time to watch movies and just unwind. And that's when men get sad and frustrated. And then they say, oh, the truth is all work and all grind. Well, how do you expect to get strong in it?
You're breaking the fallow ground. The fallow ground is the hard, intense, broken soil that won't let you break through it to plant any seeds. So we tell brothers to study for their spirit so you can finally get your mind manageable. So that the spirit of the scriptures can be planted in the soil and really take root.
And I'm going to say this also. I know Israel comes from the world, and a lot of us didn't read in the world. A lot of us didn't study in the world. A lot of us didn't like reading books in the world. I get that. A lot of us didn't. A lot of us have reading disabilities. A lot of Israel has undiagnosed
ADHD.
ADHD. Oh, definitely ADHD. But a lot of us have dyslexia and don't even know it. And there's a lot of issues with our people as far as learning and understanding and studying and reading. You know what? If you have these issues, why don't you pray for understanding? Why don't you pray for it? Doesn't the scripture say he gives to all men liberally?
Yeah.
Why don't you study every day and commit yourselves to it while praying that the Most High gives you understanding of it? You know, we do. We ask for understanding, but don't put the work in.
Yeah.
We ask the Most High to give us understanding in the book. We don't read every day. That's like I remember a brother, I'm not gonna name his name. We were going back in the gym and the brother couldn't lift the bar.
Yeah.
He was like this. He couldn't lift the bar on the bench. But you know what? He did it every day. And he got to the point where he can lift the bar. Then he could maybe throw 5 pounds on it. And it was like this. I've never seen like a 5 pounds on the bench. It was sliding.
Yeah.
It was like, come on, man, it's gonna be okay. And he pushed back like this. The point is this: if a person is that weak in working out, if he commits every single week to it, guess what? He will eventually get stronger. But can he get through the pride and the shame of looking weak while he's lifting to at least get to a 45? You go to the gym with guys on a 40, throwing up a 45. Ain't nobody tripping no more. And you're doing a wheel on the bench, okay, at least he's on a wheel. But can you get past the shame of being on the 5 pound bench is 40. The bench is 45. So yeah. So now you got like 55 total. That's weak. But can you get past the fact that you know you're weak? Most of our people can't get past the shame of looking bad.
That's the major issue.
I'm looking bad. I have to sit back here and get a definition for every single word because I don't understand it.
I'm deficient.
Then you know what? Do it until you get the understanding. Then you don't got to go back to it. But can you get past the shame and work yourself up? But our people are so afraid of looking bad and feeling slow and feeling inadequate that we never work hard enough for the Most High to sit back here and give us a greater amount of understanding. Am I right or wrong? You got to work at it. Well, reading isn't my thing. Well, you know what? A lot of things aren't anybody's thing.
That's true too.
A lot of things aren't a lot of people's things. So we're going to sit back here and limit ourselves because we're weak at something? There's that Canaanite mindset again. Anything that's uncomfortable, we're just not going to face it. Right? Listen, we respect all the brothers who put the work into the camp. That's a blessing. But if you don't put the study in, how are you going to be well-rounded? Or the person who's a studier but don't want to work. That's not going to work either. Anyway, all I'm trying to explain in this chapter as we will continue to read is that Solomon said, listen, I loved wisdom like she was my wife. And this bond was an unbreakable bond. What type of studying and investment in this word did Solomon have with the scriptures for the bond to be unbreakable? His bond with the book to be unbreakable. That's the point. And for the Most High to sit back here and say, listen, man, what do you want? What do you want? I'll give you what you need. I'll get you whatever you want. For your sacrifice. You think it was just because he killed 1,000 damn animals out? You think it was just because of the animals? Anybody can be a butcher, a male butcher. So he's just killing animals. Oh man, I love the fact you killed all these animals. That's why I'm gonna give you the blessing to rule my nation. You were so expert in cutting their throats. I love that. That wasn't it. What he's showing you what he did. He loved wisdom from his youth. Okay. And it prepared him for when he was going to be the king. He goes, what do you want for all your commitment? You've been dedicated from your youth up. It's time for me to bless you. Your actions have shown that you are in love with this book. You're in love with the pursuit of me. Have our actions shown that we're in love? Like the brother said, listen, a person who's a rapper or a songwriter, he's always thinking about songs. A person who's into the book is always reading the book. Yeah. He's always meditating on the scriptures. Anyway, what you got?
Give me the prologue. It's Ecclesiastes, the prologue of the wisdom of Jesus, the son of Sirach. And I wanted to bring out part of getting to the point of where Solomon was at was seeing the value of what wisdom had to offer. And the value is, if we looked at wisdom as our woman or even gold or money, we would hold on to it a lot more.
Okay. And it goes into that later on.
Exactly. Yeah. Read on that prologue real quick.
Whereas?
Yes.
Okay. Prologue of the wisdom of Yahushua, the son of Sirach.
Yes.
Whereas.
It's not Yahushua.
This say
it's Jesus. Yeah.
Jesus. Whereas many and great things have been delivered unto us by the law and the prophets, and by others that we have followed.
What he's saying is, the first thing I'm acknowledging is this wisdom and the understanding is great. And that's why I value this. That's why I'm going to take from this and incorporate it into my life. When you read Ecclesiastes, it gives you the social standard of how to operate with wisdom. The practical understanding. It's like Proverbs and Psalms. The practical application of wisdom. Because I see the value in this. That's why I'm taking it to the next step. That's why I'm going to hold on to the prophets and the laws. Because of how special or how elevated it can make me. Read on.
which is delivered unto us by the law and the prophets, and by others that have followed their steps.
So there's been many great examples. Read.
For the which things Israel ought to be commended for learning and wisdom.
It says it's a commendable thing if you take the law, the prophets, and the examples in these scriptures and follow after and learn the mindset of how they were operating at that time. That's commendable. But before we get to that, what do we have to be first? Read on.
And whereof not only the readers must needs become skillful themselves.
Because to get to the point of accepting and understanding the wisdom that the elders and that the prophets and the law is trying to bring out to you, you have to become a skillful reader. For those that have done research papers, I'm going to give you the understanding of what a research paper is about. I need 20 to 30 sources to incorporate in my paper to create a new thought out of nowhere. My study is on the study of bugs. That means I need to go through 100 plus sources to create my one thought and use 30 good ones to make a paper out of it. That's what college research papers are about. But this is what writing classes is the same thing. The skill you learn is after you read so much, you start knowing what to look for. For instance, have y'all had a topic in mind and every time you read, you're looking for that specific topic?
No.
And as the topics pop up in class or in council or in study, you take that topic and you write it down and put it in the notes. Save it for later. Or when you see that scripture, you write it down and immediately, when I was in them seats, right, I would hear a scripture that I knew where the other one was at. And I immediately go to it real quick and write it down. So now there's some verses where I have 15 verses of the same exact thought under one verse. That's an entire class itself. This is how you get skillful at reading. While you're waiting for the Most High to give you the understanding. But at least knowing where to go, knowing what to disseminate, will allow you to get a faster grasp of the information. Read on.
It says, but also they that desire to learn be able to profit them which are without.
And also the Spirit, to get the understanding, you'll be blessed with it if your desire is to learn to profit those that are without. And Ecclesiastes goes into, I labor not only for myself, but from others also. The priority of study, like Proverbs, what is it, 15:28 or 28:15, says the righteous study to answer.
Yeah.
What is my motivation behind studying? While you're studying for yourself to get yourself charged up, are you also studying so you can be an advocate and an ambassador for those that need you? This will expedite or allow your praise to be heard faster. Because wisdom is not a selfish spirit. It's free-flowing. The whole point of acquiring wisdom is so you can give it to somebody else.
Expensive.
To dispense to the others that need it, that are without, that are actually wanting. So if I'm studying and I'm learning to be a skillful studier or a skillful reader, my objective is to read so I can give it to others. That's what Solomon was about in the beginning. He wanted the understanding so he could be a better leader for his what?
To help the nation.
His people.
But I got to study for the purpose of solving my issues.
Yes.
So that I get the scriptures, the issues, and the solutions I've gathered from
Yes.
studying, and I've applied, I can disseminate to the needy.
Exactly. Because it's going to go right into it. Read on.
It says, I'll read the last point. But also they that desire to learn be able to profit them which are without, both by speaking and writing.
Because you have to be a good speaker. But what makes your speaking more powerful? Your example. It says speaking and writing. You can be a good writer. You can put notes together. And you can eventually get the ability to study and put concepts together. But your example has to match what you know. That's the difference between what? Knowledge and what? And wisdom. You can have information. But to actually live the information and disseminate the information is an entirely different thing. The speaking gets blessed when your example is blessed. There's a stronger force behind speaking. There is a difference when you live it and you don't. So the whole point of this is you have to become a skillful reader, understanding the spirit behind studying, and also you're doing it for a purpose. To get yourself strong so eventually you can help get the nation strong.
And if you have a pure intention, what you're saying, if your intention is pure, the Spirit will push you that direction.
Okay.
But if your intention is for ego or your intention is for just leverage and authority,
Yes.
or if the intention is not a pure intention of giving, if it's to put you in a situation where you gain more for yourself, then it won't flow through you as quickly. It probably won't flow through, yeah.
Okay.
It's intention, work ethic, and loss. The loss is what you're giving up in exchange to make sure you protect your study time.
And you know the crazy thing is, it's like diets. Everybody that looks at diets like it's a 3-month diet,
So
a 2-month diet, a challenge, all those things last for a short period of time.
or a trend, yeah.
The only people that are successful with their diet is when it's a lifestyle change and it's no longer a diet. Brothers study like it's a diet. I'm going to study really hard for this test.
Yeah.
You ever notice a brother study crazy for the test, and then what about your spirit?
What was the most developing you to take that test?
God, you were supposed to take that all-in mindset of learning the Hebrew and an all-in mindset of taking the test in that process and keep it going. Do we keep that? Do we keep that same study mindset of taking the test and keep it going? No, because I only wanted to take a test so I could boss people around. A lot of people do. A lot of people take those tests. I'm the boss of you now. Yeah. I have a fiery color on my patch now. No more cool colors. You know the cool colors are whites and your greens. I have a fiery color, so I can give orders now. But boy, what is this? But what does it take to study all the time like that? You gotta love to study.
Yeah.
To study every day, you gotta love to study, man.
You're studying everywhere. Get that test right. You're constantly thinking about it.
You're cramming. You're going hard. Was that?
Oh, it reminds me of those chats you put together about the fear, the joy, the delight.
Yeah, we're gonna go into that again.
Yeah, bring it back around.
This is the second confirmation I'm about to do it.
I tell you, that was a dope class.
We're gonna do it again. We're gonna go back in those classes again. But what it's teaching us is we have to learn. What this is showing us, we have to learn to love this.
Yes.
We kind of like to study. We kind of okay with it. We haven't learned to love it, and we have to build a desire to love to study if we want stability, if we want consistency. Think about how the Most High develops us in the truth. We don't come in here loving the Father. We kind of like Him. We kind of respect Him. Over the years, you learn to love Him. But that's work, sacrifice, commitment, dedication. That dedication and commitment is how you show the Most High you love Him.
And it's real. Do
you sit back here and study when it's inconvenient to you? When it no longer becomes a battle to study is when you know you love it. When you feel weird, it's crazy. I'm not mean to bring out Kalakau's business, but when Kalakau's been bothered with his back, and he's been on his back, it made the thing that pissed him off the most is I can't get my studying in. He been like, damn. I was like, bro, this guy loves this.
That's what he's thinking about.
I can't get. I'm behind schedule now. I ain't been in the book. I was like, that's power. That's power. That's what I want to get to. We all have to keep working it until the only thing that matters is did we get it in? Did you get your studying in? And I know that is a culture change that has to keep evolving in the camp and amongst all of us. The more I push hard to study, the more they push hard to study, the more at least the incentive, at least it's easier to want to study it at this point.
The environment's developed.
Because I'm telling you, before, when the environment wasn't about studying, man, it's hard to study when it's not cool to study.
Nobody wants to talk about the Bible.
Nobody wants to talk about the Bible. It's not cool to study. When the environment wasn't cool to study, it's harder to study.
Danny Green.
If you think study is hard now, what was that?
Danny Green.
Tim
Duncan.
Come on, stop that.
David Duncan.
I didn't say that. That's him saying that. I didn't say that. I didn't say those words. He said those words.
No,
So
that's how
listen.
it be though.
Come on, now. It's almost like some ether stuff coming
No,
out. Let's be cool,
it's not. No, listen, the Spurs, we won like for years, huh?
Yeah.
That was the point topic, guy.
That was okay. What are we trying to say? At?
It was sports.
What we're trying to say
Sports talk, guy.
is, if the culture is conducive to studying, then it's a lot easier to fight the battle of studying.
Yeah.
When nobody's trying to study, it's hard to study. It's hard to study when nobody's studying.
Yeah, bro.
Like,
So all I'm saying is we're going to keep fighting our tails off to keep pushing the value of studying, but you guys got to make that passion your passion. And the more you make studying and reading and consuming yourself in the book your passion, the zealousness and the consistency in your work will go as far as your zeal and consistency in studying go. And that's the truth. And it's not just to study to break somebody off with the scriptures and cut and to tear down and to preclude dominance on somebody in the scriptures. It's about, can I get in this book and repair myself? Can I use the templates that my teachers have shown me to repair myself and use those to repair myself? Find value in that as much as it could. I'm not going to lie to you. When I came into knowledge, it was about cutting people. That's how I know. It was about cutting people in knowledge. I'm going to prove these folks wrong. But then you realize it got to be more than that.
Yeah.
That can't keep you here. What you going to say?
oh man, I had a point. I had a good point. The sister had a question right there just for that. Oh, that's what I want to say.
Okay, I'm going to read this here.
What makes, for those that are going to pursue the self-study, you cannot live in denial if you want to get the scripture. The reason why the self-study doesn't work is we play the lying game with ourselves. If you're going to lie to yourself and not be honest about your deficiencies, then there's no need to study to heal your spirit because there is no problem. That mentality of there's no problems and I'm straight and I'm good and I'm good enough and I don't have any issues, I don't have any evil thoughts and I don't have any real problems. And it's not really me, it's other people. It's the people around me. It's not me, it's the people around me. These people got me acting crazy. I'm not crazy. They're making me act crazy. That spirit, you won't penetrate the book because it's the spirit of thinking other people are the problem. If you start looking with the spirit of accountability and honesty, then the scripture starts to open up. Because I know, what can I do to fix me?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to change my actions? What can I do to make a different decision, different move, or to control a certain impulse? When you have that kind of degree of honesty with yourself, the scriptures will start to come in and be more clear. But if you're not honest with yourself, it's very hard to see this, to see yourself in the book.
Let's go Ecclesiastes 4 and 16 and answer your question, sis. Ecclesiastes 4 verse 16 through 4 verse 16 through 19. To answer your question, sis. Yeah, read that. 4 verse 16.
Yeah, sorry.
4 verse 16.
Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 16. If a man commit himself under her, he shall inherit her.
Once again, this is about committing. I guess our version and idea of commitment is different than what the Most High's idea of commitment is. The Most High's idea of commitment to wisdom is an all-in approach. You're like, listen, think about this side. We teach this when it comes to a woman learning how to serve a man. She has to learn to like the things he likes. Tap into the things he's tapped into. This is what it takes for a man to sit back here and tap into pleasing the Heavenly Father. You have to love what he loves, value what he values. So if a man commits himself to wisdom, read on.
God, if a man commit himself under her, he shall inherit her, and his generations shall hold her in possession.
Read on.
For at the first she will walk him by crooked ways.
Listen, what does crooked ways mean? In order to get wisdom, it's going to be a hard, arduous path every day to even start before things open up and make sense. For those of us who try to study, is it not hard?
Yeah.
To lock your mind in. Listen, it's hard to sit back and just concentrate long enough to get the information in your head.
Yep.
It's a battle for weeks and months and years for some of us for it to even understand what I'm reading. How many brothers sit back here and try to study and their thoughts, they can't control their thoughts to lock in and zone in? Do brothers face that? Sisters too? My mind is spinning and I'm thinking about all kind of things that I'm not supposed to be thinking about. And I can't even lock in just for words to stick. And how you know it's happening, you keep reading the same verse multiple times. You're spinning now. You're all messed up, huh? What's that?
Definition of crooked, exactly.
Okay.
Crooked, 1828, second definition. Winding in moral conduct. Devious or froward. Reverse, this part right here. It says, given to obliquity or wandering from duty. So duty is a step.
Listen, so what it's saying is, wisdom is going to sit back here and force you to get rid of all that crap in your head before it sticks. A lot of times the wisdom ain't sticking because there's too much filth in your spirit.
Yep.
Y'all considered that. Into a malicious spirit, wisdom won't enter. So the crooked path is you're just reading some words, blah, 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 blah. And you start fixing what's inside of you. David did this. David did that. Moses did this. Thou shalt not do that. Don't do that. That was wicked. You're just reading the word. It's not making any sense. Ezra did that. Nehemiah was a great man. Like, what does this guy do with my spirit? Christ saved the world. The world of the Jews. Like, okay, man, this is just nothing sticking right now.
Story time.
It's a story time. You know why? Because there's still a lot of sin in you. So it's almost like you're not going to even get the understanding until you purge a lot of the wickedness out of you. So the fact that we fight to purge the sin out of us is how we show the Most High what? We want to pursue it. How much? This is what the law does for us. The law gives us the parameters of how to fight. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And if you overcome this, now I'm going to start giving you some wisdom. But you're going to have to change things inside of you for the word to stick and make more sense. Does that make sense? Okay, let's continue.
God. Ecclesiastes chapter 4 and verse 17. For at the first she will walk with him by crooked ways, and bring fear and dread upon him, and torment him with her discipline.
Hold tight. There's another question, huh?
I was just going to respond.
Respond to that while I read this.
No, I was just saying that the tormenting with the discipline is that bitterness in the belly. Because a lot of us, when we come in, we get that inspiration, we get that zeal, we hear the information, it feels good, but the application is where it dawns on us. I have to be like the people I'm reading that inspired me. I have to be as austere and as disciplined and as chafed in the mind as they are. And to get to that point is where the battle starts. To get to the point where I see how Christ lived and I try to mimic how he lived and realize this is real. This is beyond real. Elijah, his not Elijah, but John the Baptist, same thing. How he lived. Daniel, all these greats in the Bible that we aspire to be after. What makes it difficult to get to that point is, can I mimic their level of discipline?
But that's the thing. What am I willing to give up? I got to give. When you're reading this and you got to study it. Listen, think about this. If you're going to study forever, then what do you got to give up? What is it? What are your pastimes? What are your night hobbies? It's hard to. Brothers run the streets at night. They run the streets. They touching this work, whatever you want to call that. Listen, what are you willing to give up to get the studying in? Or you'll get up in the morning. You get up in the morning at 5, 6, 4. Who wants to do that?
Or can you lift boxes and think spiritual at the same time?
But you still gotta put something into your soul. You need some soul food. You need to sit back and put some scripture in your head. first. So the question is this: Do you operate better at night to study after your body's beat down and you're tired, or do you operate better in the morning? That's the real question.
Night.
Well, then some guys, I'm gonna say this: nighttime is a challenge.
No, I said neither. Neither.
Okay.
It's the morning, bro.
Okay. The answer most of the time is more because your mind is fresh. You don't got the 20 hours of like day work and stress and stuff going in your mind.
Yeah.
But then the problem is this: if the answer is the morning, then you got to go to sleep earlier. That's what you got to go to sleep earlier.
Nice.
Then you got to get up. Brothers get up in the morning at 4 o'clock to go to work.
Ain't no going to sleep early.
So that means you got to get up at 3:30.
Yeah.
You gonna be a 3:30 boy, man, to study out for the sake of for the love of the game, right?
Love the game.
For the love of wisdom.
That figure it out.
Then like, I don't know about this loving of the game thing. I don't know about this loving of the game that you're telling me about. You know what I'm gonna do? Then you say, I am going to listen to YouTube while I'm working. That's what I'm gonna do. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's a start.
That's good. But you still got to read and sit down and read parchments, huh?
Yeah.
You got to get and read parchments and words and on paper.
Yeah.
You got to do that. That's where you get the wisdom.
It's true.
You got to sit down and read words until it makes sense to you. And commit to that. Not just playing class like it's a mixtape. Like it's mixtape Wheezy. You listening to work and dedication. Can we sit back and read the Bible and study and read words and write notes and keep those notes and log those notes?
You got to create an environment to study. You have to know what are study killers. You got to know what foods you can't eat before you study. Eating heavy beef, you're not going to study, huh? Stop lying.
Eating heavy beef out.
If you're a heavy beef guy, bro, it's over. If you know yourself.
And then you got people. I'm just gonna drink wine and wind down.
Oh, really?
That's not real.
You gonna party with the Bible on? It sounds cool. It looks cool.
Yeah, right.
It's not pension.
And all of a sudden, after that third glass, you are faded. You buzzing. The words are moving on the page.
That's enough.
The words. I have read enough of the Bible. You're not getting any damn glasses.
I'm so relaxed.
You're done after like 20 minutes.
Oh my God.
It's the truth.
Didn't retain nothing.
You didn't get nothing. You retain those damn what do you call it? Those sulfites in the wine. That's what you got. Those the parts that give you a gnarly headache in the morning.
Yeah.
Those are the sulfites. From the cheap wine we be drinking from HEB. It's the truth. It's bad wine. Box wine. Yes.
Oh, that's the
yes. Or those huge like Ernest and Gallo bottles.
Yeah.
Wisdom shuts the door here.
Oh,
there's no wisdom coming in. I'm getting out of here. I'm getting away from this guy, man. He hasn't committed nothing yet. I just see brothers online having their Bible and it's wine. Like, what are you doing? What are you going to accomplish today? Anyway, all we're trying to say, we're trying to clearly paint out what it takes to get the Most High's attention and what it takes for the information to actually stick. You got to make the words yours. The reason the Most High calls Israel sheep, you know why? We just go from one sensation to the other. One uplifting counsel to the other. One powerful, inspiring class to the other. And we don't take the time to read, study, and make these classes ours. We're trying to help. Once again, what's the title of the class? How do I stay zealous and consistent? What is it going to take for you to be a better, stronger person for a longer stretch of time? Well, how much time are you going to commit to this book? This is what it takes. Okay. Continuing on Ecclesiastes 4.
God. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 17. For at the first she will walk with him by crooked ways, and bring fear and dread upon him, and torment him with her discipline, until she may trust his soul.
Listen, wisdom has to trust that if the Spirit opens your mind to receive these scriptures, you're going to know what to do with it. And you're going to do right by people. Listen, this is why when brothers have envy and they can't look at people the right way, why would the Most High give a person who's envious and have outlook issues? Why would he give him wisdom? If a brother has pride, it can't be checked. Why is Most High going to give them wisdom?
No, you just memorize the Bible.
To sit back here and manipulate things your way.
If you're an argumentative master, if you're the master of arguing,
why is he going to open your mind to
scriptures to
wisdom?
argue more, bro? I'm not going to give you scriptures to argue more because you just want to argue.
And if there's men that have negative intentions, why is he going to give them the scriptures? So you can ruin people's lives and manipulate people?
I'm going to give you spiritual angles to manipulate people that are deficient in understanding. Why would he do that?
He's not going to do that. So what he's saying is, along with the disciplines, you're going to have to fix spiritual issues in yourself.
Or not get it. That's the other part.
Or not get it.
Other parts are not
and this is why a lot of Israelites be in these doors that get classes and then they stay stagnant because they're not fixing themselves and they're not putting the work in to fix themselves. So the word just doesn't penetrate. It's not sticking. The word penetrates, your clarity enhances, your scriptural retaining builds. The more you fix what's inside of you. That's all we keep trying to teach inner man. You're not going to get the Most High's attention to gain wisdom if you don't keep fixing what's inside of you. Then the studying sticks.
You can't skip
then the comprehension sticks. Then the clarity picks up. Then the message becomes clearer.
Or the Most High will give you the understanding, and then you get the scripture later. Scripture will come later.
I know.
That's happened where Most High give you understanding.
That's true.
I can't prove in the book. I'm not trying to say.
But the understanding comes from obedience.
From the council gave you the counsel, and you had to trust the counsel, and you apply the counsel, but you don't have the scripture to confirm it, but you trusted the direction you were given. Most High over time, that scripture makes much more sense. That's what it makes. That's perfect.
But that's based on the obedience that happens when wisdom is taking you through crooked paths. Yeah. When you're being challenged, when you're having to serve, when you're having to lock in. Are you in order?
You were submitting to the spirit of wisdom when it was dealing with you. But some brothers, they want to go into, you have to prove it to me. Listen, bro, certain battles you gotta have faith on.
Yeah. And you gotta follow.
That proves to be in order. Then you're usually stuck there. Stay there for 2 years, and then you come back in 2 years, and you know what? You're waiting more. Because a lot of this is walking, and you can't see it, and you have to trust on the man. And it's scary to trust on the man if you have trust issues. You better study about trust then.
Well, you better study.
You better study about trust. The Lord got somebody having to put your conscience in their hands. You got to trust that the Most High gave you the right situation.
That wasn't Psalm was right there.
Yeah, I know. Let's let that go and go back to wisdom Solomon, and that's where we got way more, but we're never gonna get to that. Let's just get at least to verse 5. No.
The 8, the 9 it goes right.
Shoot, really, verse 16. I got. That's why I don't know if I have time. Let's just keep going, bro. Give me Wisdom of Solomon 8 verse 2.
Yeah. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 8 verse 2. I loved her and saw her out from my youth. I desired to make her my spouse, and I was a lover of her beauty.
You have to love everything that this book stands for, bro. Read on.
Verse 3. And that she is conversant with the Most High. She magnified her nobility. Yea, the Lord of all things himself loved her.
The Most High loves wisdom. Read on, which is Christ. Read on.
For she is privy to the mysteries of the knowledge of the Most High, and a lover of his works.
Exactly. Read on. So the book is privy to the mysteries of these scriptures. Read on.
If riches be a possession to be desired in this life, what is richer than wisdom that worketh all things?
And this is what the Most High is letting us know. What's more valuable than physical riches? The pursuit of this wisdom. But we don't look at it like
it's
that.
The highest calling,
It's the highest calling and pursuit anybody can gain. It's the pursuit of this wisdom.
Because the reason why it's not important sometimes is because I think that other things are higher in calling.
In value. Listen, the only thing that should matter is After I get off work, let's get in this book. Let me learn more. Let me study more. Let me get closer to the scriptures. That's all that should matter. But the problem is, it's like the on things to do list. I gotta go on Instagram. I gotta go on Facebook. Then I'll get some studying in, maybe if I can. I'm gonna watch some telenovelas. Some television. Listen, I got Galavision. I think it's 34. Channel 34. Telemundo. Mira.
Today someone died. This does.
Shut it down, bro.
Oh, it started over? Hold on, let me see. Let me see if
Israel, just say shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
And make sure it's good, man. But there's a delay, so it might be shutting off in half seconds. Anyway, we're gonna finish this verse up as best we can. Let's read on.
Verse 6. And if prudence were, who of all that are is a more.
Yeah, it's connected. They connected. Read that part again.
Verse 6. And if prudence were, who of all that are is a more cunning workman than she?
God, listen, there's no other more cunning workman in these scriptures, which means there's plenty of work that we have to commit ourselves to really get a grasp of this wisdom. Let's continue.
Verse 7. And if a man love righteousness, her labors are virtue.
Listen, if you love righteousness, the work you got to put into getting this wisdom is all a spiritual victory. Because in the pursuit of me trying to gain wisdom, in the pursuit of me trying to gain greater understanding of the scriptures, I'm learning discipline, I'm learning patience, I'm learning long suffering, I'm learning greater study habits, I'm learning a lot in the pursuit of this wisdom. So whatever I'm having to give up is actually a blessing. It's actually a good thing because it's getting me closer to wisdom. If I got pride, me getting rid of my pride is going to get me closer to this wisdom and understanding these scriptures, then it was all worth it. All these labors, all these sacrifices are worth it. But how many of us look at it that way? How many of us look at the work we have to put in to gain this wisdom as virtues? We look at it as a burden. Read on.
Her labors are virtues, for she teacheth temperance and prudence, justice and fortitude, which are such things as men can have nothing more profitable in their life.
Listen, there's nothing more profitable in life than to pursue this wisdom and love these scriptures and get a grasp of this Bible. There's nothing more profitable in your life. And if you look at it this way, zealous issues and consistency issues will be out the door. We're inconsistent because we don't study. We're inconsistent because we don't love this like it's our wife. We're not in love with the pursuit of wisdom. That's why we're inconsistent. Read on.
Verse 8. If a man desire much experience, she knoweth things of old.
If you want to know about the experience of how to maintain your spirit and understand how life is and how it's supposed to be, the Bible and history, wisdom has all the wisdom of the ancients and the history of the ancients at your disposal. If you just value the pursuit of it.
He's not hiding from you.
Listen, when you sit back here, you can break it down in parts. Let me learn the first 5 books of the Bible. Then let me learn the heart of Hebrew history. Then let me sit back and learn the fall. Let me learn Christ. Then let me learn Paul. Break it down in segments. You look up and you'll have so much more understanding a year from now. If you commit every day to it. Read on.
She knoweth things of old, and conjectureth aright what is to come. She knoweth the subtleties of speeches, and can expound dark sentences. She foreseeth signs and wonders, and the events of seasons and times.
God.
Therefore I purpose to take her to me, to live with me.
He said, listen, I want wisdom to live with me. I want to make the Bible close to me. I want to make these scriptures close to my heart, my mind, and my soul. He said, listen, when Jay talking about living with you, you know what that is. Listen, you ain't leaving this house unless you tell me what's going on. You mine. You mine now, girl. That's that crazy Joe talk that's in our heads. Solomon's like, listen, bro, I want wisdom like that. I don't want you to leave me. I don't want to forget. You know what's crazy? You know what the challenging thing about studying? You can study every day, but as you're going, you start to forget a little bit about what you read 3-4 months ago. You got to keep going back, constant to refresh. You got to keep going back to refresh as you're moving forward. It is an endless challenge. But who loves the challenge? Who wants to embrace this challenge until? How many of y'all can keep going from cycle to cycle, chapter to chapter, chapter to chapter, start over again, do it again, realize there's more that you missed the second time around. Go back the third time and realize, damn, I have a better grasp the third time than the second time. Who can be enthusiastic with the constant cycles of going over the same topics over and over again? That is what Solomon is saying. I don't ever want you to leave. I'm taking you home with me. You're going to be a part of me. Read on.
Therefore I purposed to take her to me, to live with me, knowing that she would be a counselor of good things, and a comfort in cares and grief.
The scriptures is your comfort, not alcohol. Not a woman. The scriptures. Read on.
For her sake, I shall have estimation among the multitude, and honor with the elders, though I be young.
He says, because of my pursuit of the scriptures, I will be elevated quicker. It's not about age. It's about commitment to the book. Read on.
Verse 11. I shall be found of a quick conceit and judgment, and should be admired in the sight of great men.
Jump to verse 16.
Verse 16. After I am come into mine house, I will repose myself with her.
Let's look at repose, Gariah.
All right. Repose, 1828, Webster's Dictionary. What point do you want to?
Repose, I want, let me just give me,
3 from the now.
it's to be at rest with. I'm just trying to find, you can just go, cause of rest. It doesn't matter. Cause of rest, to cause rest, to place in confidence. All he's saying is our rest and our peace of mind comes from having this wisdom close to us. And to have wisdom close to us, you know what that means? Have the retention and access to the scriptures close to you. How do you get access and retention to the scriptures close to you? Is it doing this? Remember I told you when my people would sit back and have the Bible in their car, and that was protection act?
Yeah.
Well, was it really having the Bible in your car that's the protection? Or it's, real quick, is to have the retention of this book in my head. The stories, the concepts, the history. I have the retention to pull it whenever I need it. That's what brings the rest. That's what brings the peace of mind. I can pull a scripture. I can sit back and go back into concepts that give me clarity in times of stress, in times of pressure, in times of hell. It's the retention. But how do you get the retention? From the constant studying and the constant committing yourself to the book. Does that make sense? This is what it takes. And there's way more on this topic, but there's not going to be time to do it. So we're going to leave it at that. Okay? But I don't think I'm going to go back in this topic for a little bit. I think we went up 2 classes on this. I think it's enough. We're going to another topic. But if brothers want and sisters want to know about consistency and zealousness, are we committed to studying at the level you need to get that zealousness and consistency? With that, we're going to shut it down. Throughout for tuning in. Israel, see you guys on Wednesday with Shamshawan's class. Throughout everybody. Shalom.